This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. As his pursuit of the NBA scoring record continues, LeBron James will return from foot soreness for the Lakers tonight against the Knicks, reports ESPN's Dave McMenamin. He'll be playing in one of his favorite arenas, Madison Square Garden, for the first time in 3 years. And tonight, we'll see the LeBron that's averaging over 30 points a game this season, believes ESPN's Tim Legler.
You're not going to see, I don't think, limitations in him. He's the kind of guy now at this point, if he's not going to go out there and be himself, he's probably going to not play until the next game. So I think the fact that you're seeing him play, and I think also the significance of playing in the Garden, he's going to suit up, and I think you're going to see the same LeBron that we've been watching here all season, which is really nothing short of remarkable.
Tim Legler on Fitz and Harry. James is 117 points away from passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's career scoring record. Michigan State quarterback Kari Crump sentenced to probation as part of a plea agreement today for his involvement in an assault on a Michigan player in the stadium tunnel on October 29th. Crump was sentenced to 12 months probation and 80 hours community service in that plea deal.
We all know the game isn't over till it's over. So next time your car breaks down, don't call it quits. Head to eBay Motors. They have 122 million parts to take your car into overtime. Get the right parts at the right prices. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, I'm Matt. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You so. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Massive night at the PMAC. Kim Mulkey in 30 minutes. We'll get you an update from the Senior Bowl, and could Urban Meyer ever coach again? He talked about it. We'll get to that a bit later in the show. Tomorrow is National Signing Day. Wednesday is the traditional February signing day. Much of the hay in the barn for LSU, but wanted to take this opportunity here on the eve of signing day to bring on our guy, Shea Dixon, talk a little bit about signing day, a little primer. So we got a couple of segments with Shea. The first, I'll ask him my stuff, and then if you have questions, please fire away. We'll get into to all your questions for Shea in the second segment. Shea, we appreciate you, man. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm a lot less busy than I normally would be in years past, which I think can be the theme of a lot of what we're going to discuss here in the next couple segments.
Well, so that's a really good point. And we've talked about this now every year that they've gone to their early signing day. It's made February much of a non-issue. But for where LSU's class is, if they didn't add another player, if they were just done, right? No more transfers, no more high school guys, would they be whole? Like, did they address every need they had?
I don't think you ever feel comfortable enough to say that, but I will say with the signing class, there isn't really a spot beyond maybe a D tackle that you say, hey, look, you didn't sign one. But that's negated in a large way, and just how they approach kids in recruiting the position by the portal. And, knowing that you can go into the portal and get guys who are experienced at whatever position it is. So I'll put it this way, of the normal, remember back in the day, signing caps, right? Not too long ago, you could only sign 25. Everybody would do the math on counting back and guys enrolling early. Now there's no cap other than be at or under 85 scholarship players by fall camp. LSU signed 25 high school guys, so they're still managing that roster the same way. You add in 11 transfers, and you're good to go. So I would say right now, if they never added a single another player, transfer, high school kid, I would feel more than good about saying they addressed their needs.
So with 25 high school kids signed, and the number of transfers, as you mentioned, at 11, that's a dramatically lower number than they had a year ago. Shea, I think it was 19. Tell me if I'm wrong on that number from a year ago.
It was 19 transfers and 15 high school signings.
Right. So 19. It was so clear they've sort of inverted those even more so, which is fantastic to see. Do you suspect we'll continue to see that number of transfers taken drop, or is that going to be double-digit transfers kind of going to be a core of their recruiting strategy?
Great question. I think that maybe Brian Kelly referenced this at one point, but he said he wants it to trend a little bit more in the direction that they've gone so far. So if you think about a year ago, they were rebuilding the roster completely. They had to take 20 transfers basically. They were lower on high school guys, 15. And then, as you noted, that number gets inverted. I think they want to be in the 27 to 8 range of high school guys, and then you're taking 7 or so transfers each class, and then you're managing the roster, kind of your current roster, well enough to where taking, what would that be, 35 guys, something in that range a year would be more than enough to get you through.
Shea Dixon is with us from On 3, the Bengal Tiger. Tomorrow is the February signing day. Wednesday is February signing day. Let's talk about some of the players that are uncommitted right now that LSU is in on. Let's start with the one that's going to commit this evening, Jamel Howard, the defensive lineman out of Chicago. What can you tell us there?
Yeah, and he's even gone back and forth on that. He told us at one point this afternoon that he might commit tomorrow now, which would be the normal signing day. Regardless, I think the feeling here is that he's probably going to stay closer to home. Wisconsin, a school he was once committed to that went through an obvious coaching change, is viewed as a team that would be seen as the leader, whether he's announcing tonight or tomorrow. And this is a guy that LSU only offered a month ago, so in December, I should say. So hasn't been on the board very long, but did give him a visit. And he's at that defensive tackle position, which is one I mentioned as them not having a true nose tackle type player in the high school class. They addressed it in the portal. But I think that it's basically best described as they were getting near December signing day. You see you don't have a defensive, nose tackle committed or set to sign. You offer one of the best available guys, and he takes it to February, and you take your swing. And if you come up short, it's kind of like it would have only been Lane Yap had it not ever been a guy you pursued.
He's on Twitter at Shea Dixon. Shea, let's talk about some of the other guys. Are there other guys who will have a hat on the table Wednesday for LSU that we need to keep an eye on?
They had been recruiting Nicholas Harbor at one point, who was a big 5-star athlete. He was wanting to play D-line. Jamar Cain had been recruiting as a D-end, and then he decided he wants to play tight end, and then he ultimately this month didn't even give LSU a visit. But your question brings me to what I think is kind of one of the bigger points of signing day, or at least what used to be signing day, right? February's National Signing Day. 2018 was the first year they implemented that early signing period where kids could start to sign in December, and we saw more and more guys start to, go ahead and shut things down then, and they moved up the entire recruiting calendar to where juniors could take official visits in the spring, and it used to be only you could do that as a senior from the fall moving forward, and December would be and January would be big times for that. So with the whole calendar moved up, I counted this before we came on, 286 of the top 300 players on 3 already signed in December. So that's 14 guys who didn't sign. Of those 14, 8 go into tomorrow uncommitted or already committed. So in the on-3 top 300, the top 300 high school football recruits in the country, 2% of them enter tomorrow uncommitted and actually announcing on the traditional signing day. So to even be in it with 1 or 2 guys right now is rare, at least given the current lay of the land and what would be at least I should say, clarify that by saying to be in it with the top players in the country is rare because there aren't many top players in the country left uncommitted or unsigned.
Yeah, it's pretty wild how it's all changed. Do you think, Shea, that we will see any type of correction? I know coaches have opined about maybe moving up the early signing period to the summer or eliminating it altogether. Do you foresee any changes?
I mean, I can't rule it out. They seem to be changing a lot.
Right.
When we talk NIL and moving up already an early signing period 5 years ago or in the 2018 class. So it wouldn't surprise me. I don't, all the coaches have different opinions on it. Football is the only sport that doesn't operate really on that November and April signing periods. February was always a standalone type of thing. But no matter what, if it stays, as long as they're keeping a signing period in December, that becomes part of it. And that's when most kids are going to commit, because if you're committed, and this is what every college coach will tell you, Matt, if you're committed to us and a signing day arrives and you don't sign, we don't consider you to be all that committed anymore. And with the portal and everything else, you can just go out there and get somebody else. So kids want their spots, and also that means enrolling early. A lot of these kids now, more than ever, go to school in January of what would be their senior years and just miss a whole semester of high school to go ahead and get acclimated to college. So it'll just mean that February, much like tomorrow's National Signing Day, is nothing, compared to what it used to be.
Yeah. Shea Dixon is with us. Shea, sit tight. We'll knock out a break. We're going to do another segment with Shea, and we're going to get to just your questions. So I know a lot of people have questions about specific prospects, be it 2023 guys or portal guys or beyond. Feel free to fire away. There's your chance to get a question in for Shea. You can email us, Matt, at 1045ESPN.com. You can tweet me at Matt Moscona.
Hey, Twitter world.
Thank you, Juice. You can jump in the Bayou YouTube chat on the Watch 1045 ESPN YouTube channel. Get your questions in there. And you can also text, if you'd prefer, 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Your recruiting questions for Shea next here on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Pluckers, Nicholson, Bluebonnet, dine-in, carry-out, or delivery. 28 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice-cold draft beer, full-service bar, sports on TV, and always something going on at Pluckers. So tonight and every Tuesday, you got sports trivia at Pluckers on Nicholson. So school's back in out at LSU, going to be hopping over there tonight. Our guy Hunt Palmer will be hosting sports trivia starting at 8:30. Remember, you get the Pels on the floor tonight. Trying to snap that losing streak, man. It's been disappointing to watch. But if you want to get together with a bunch of Pel fans, it's a 9 o'clock tip local time. It's a national game on TNT. So get on by Pluckers. Remember, trivia starts at 8:30. So get there, eat some wings, drink a few beers, play trivia, watch the Pels Nuggets game. Great spot to do it at Pluckers. Nicholson, just south of campus. Bluebonnet, right in front of the Mall of Louisiana. Also, every Tuesday, kids eat free at both Pluckers locations. Dining, carry out, or delivery. Pluckers, if you don't like our wings. We'll give you the bird.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
We know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, Our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Have you ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast who was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Rolling along, tomorrow is the start of the early signing, or excuse me, not the start of the early, it's the traditional signing day, National Signing Day, but it comes with not much fanfare. Obviously, so much of the heavy lifting is already done for LSU, as they did a lot throughout the December signing period and in the portal window as well. Shea Dixon is with us, so we're talking a little bit about tomorrow's signing date. Got some big picture stuff out of the way. Want to get to some of the nuance, get to your questions. So if you have questions about this class, future classes, individual prospects, fire away. Email us, tweet us. You can always jump in the Byford YouTube chat on the Watch 1045 ESPN YouTube channel, or text the show in the 225 at 396-4400, 396-4400. All right, Shea, here's a question from Joe. Said, why did LSU not pursue any of the remaining offensive and defensive linemen in the state? Any idea of who's on the board, who might have been a target?
There were only a couple of kids. I'd say one or two still out there. Caden Jones ended up an offensive tackle committing to Florida. He'll sign tomorrow. And then the other was Kyron Borda out of the New Orleans area, and he's going to go ahead and ink with Arizona State. I believe he committed last week. So really just two guys that they had not been recruiting heavily and had just held out and were getting other offers and ultimately are headed outside the state. So best guess there is how I explained it.
Shea, do you think, by the way, that they will target offensive linemen in the portal? Because that's something I was told near the end of the regular season, that they knew they were going to lose a lot of those sort of veteran backups and that they knew they were going to have to do work there. Do you anticipate them making any headway there in the portal in the springtime?
Well, I don't know about headway, but I will say that two guys have already, Jake Renfro at Cincinnati, a starting center, had made a visit and ultimately committed to Wisconsin and followed Luke Fickell from Cincinnati to Wisconsin. And then Miami center, who I believe is still in the portal because he's not going to go anywhere until the summer, reported an offer from them. So they at least seem to be entertaining the idea of interior offensive linemen. Obviously, one of those guys is already on another campus and done, but maybe in the spring window, yes, I could see it if they've already tried doing it twice.
Yeah. Ja'Kai Clark. I had to Google because I forgot the name too. Ja'Kai Clark is the guy from Miami. Let's see. Vino said, ask Shea, who do you feel will be the next breakout freshman at LSU next season? Any player or position, Shea, out of this class of the freshmen that you think is poised to play a big role in 23?
Yeah, I mean, if there were an odds-on betting favorite, it would be Deshaun Womack. Now, granted, he just had a surgery on his shoulder to get some stuff cleaned up from after his senior season. So I don't know how much spring ball he's going to be a part of. But if he's healthy by the fall, which all expectations are that he will be, he's your heir apparent to B.J. Ojulari. So I would say that he's a guy that at least should be playing right away or getting some serious run. And that's not a surprise. He's their highest-ranked player. I won't rule out Zaylon Hurd. If we saw what Will Campbell and Emory Jones did this year, Brian Kelly has no problem, or I should say Brad Davis as well, with putting young guys out there if they're talented enough. And I think we've seen every year, it's like we have to remind ourselves of this in the offseason. I can't remember the last time, even the national championship season, that LSU was just rocking a starting five on the O-line out of the gates that they never changed or toyed around with. So I would put Hurd in that mix. So I guess I'm cheating, but I'll pick their 2 5-stars.
That's not cheating at all. That makes a lot of sense. By the way, you mentioned Womack having the shoulder surgery, and also the possibility of him being the edge or the jack replacement for Ojulari. No thought that maybe one of the transfers like Oviegofu or from Texas or the edge from Oregon that they got in?
Yeah. I think the reason you take those two guys, Oviegofu had played at Notre Dame for a few years, so had obviously been recruited and signed by Brian Kelly. Then he went to Texas and played. And actually, if you put on the film, Matthew Brune at our site done a film breakdown on him. And in some big games, Bama and other games, like he was pushing the pocket. He played well. And if he's in a rotational guy for you with 1 year left, you'll take it, especially because I think he, more so than anyone at Gofu, but also Braden Swinson, who's coming out of Oregon as an edge rusher. He's younger, but he's not a high school freshman coming in. They can bridge the gap until Womack's there, right? Like, we didn't see Harold Perkins just come out and do what he did at the end of the year in week one. In fact, he was on special teams, I think, like getting penalties for hitting guys late or whatever. You know, he was too bored with his special teams life. You've got to move him on. But by about a month in, Harold Perkins was all over the place. So I would think that those two guys really both rotational, but also help teach Womack, help bring him along, and give the staff enough time before they feel like he's ready for, as a true freshman, for kind of a full-time starting duty.
A couple more here with Shea Dixon. Scott said, ask Shea, to your knowledge, what LSU recruiting history had the most red carpet 5-star treatment provided? Does anything like that stand out, Shea, where they went above and beyond for a player?
I mean, Leonard Fournette, I would have to imagine, was an above and beyond. I mean, if you'll remember, I don't know what defines red carpet. If red carpet's just like whining and dining a kid. But a year before Leonard even signed, Les Miles was on signing day committing known recruiting violations of saying, we're going out to get Leonard Fournette, the best player in the country, you know, as the gem of the next class. Right. And I would say that's red carpet treatment. But yeah, I don't know, guys like that. The Willie Williams kind of saga. Do you remember that when he wrote a diary, I think it was in the Orlando Sentinel, about what recruiting visits were like? And he was talking about just getting wined and dined with lobsters and everything was market price and all of this. And it became this sort of cult phenomenon as the first look into what whining and dining 18-year-old kids was really like. Yeah. And since then, I wondered if it's tapered off a bit. Now it seems much more regimented. Back then, I think they were just throwing money around and everyone was having a wild time. So.
Let's see if we get a couple more. Shea Dixon is with us from On 3. Of course, he's on Twitter at Shea Dixon. Trey Simmons said, Shea, is Shelton Sampson going to be a day one starter? What do you think about Sampson and the wide receiver group, Shea?
I don't think he'll be a day one starter, and I don't think there's any knock on him. I mean, he was right behind Womack and Hurd as one of the highest ranked guys they signed. I think that they have some receivers who are going to be not starters who are talented enough to be starting. So any of these freshmen coming in and starting, I'd be surprised, but wide receivers play a lot. In fact, most years I'm hearing LSU fans complain that, you know, everyone is getting into the game and they're not just sticking with like 2 or 3 guys. So I do think he'll play, but start when you've got Neighbors and Brian Thomas and Lacey and Aaron Anderson coming in, and, you know, you could have a healthy Chris Hilton, I'll go on and on, but yeah, I would start might be pushing it.
All right, Shea, let's see if we can get one more in here. This is from Seth, who said, Shea, is LSU deep at running back like the old days when we had 3 or 4 NFL backs? If not, how can LSU get back there?
Well, I think isn't that a great question? I don't know, Matt. Yeah. You tell me, would you rather have the bell cow, and not everyone's Leonard Fournette, or would you rather have the old days when you were like Michael Ford, Alfred Blue, Terrence McGee, and you had like 4 or 5 guys that you were playing? Because I feel pretty confident saying that if they're bringing everybody back from last year, they're in that grouping of, you've got like 4 or 5 guys that are like pretty good, solid backs.
I get.
Which group would you rather be in?
For me, I would rather the Fournette, Geist, Darrell Williams scenario, where you had 3 NFL backs, as opposed to the guy that may step up and be the bell cow, as opposed to the cluster of a lot of real good backs, but not the elite transcendent back. I think I'd always rather have at least one guy that is the guy I know if I need to turn around and give it to him 30 times in the game, he'll go off. And I don't think LSU has that right now.
Well, the only way to get there is by recruiting someone who fits that type of bill. So get a 5-star running back. But I will say that quite often when LSU is good, it's because Louisiana giveth to the program and 2025 class. So these kids are about to be juniors in Louisiana.
Yeah.
There's probably 3 of the top 5 or 6 running backs in the country. I mean, if Frank Wilson plays his cards right, they will absolutely be stacking up on future NFL backs.
Awesome. Well, I look, that's been a core of what Brian Kelly has done throughout his career. Has always had a stable, at least a couple of backs that he can rotate, the thunder and lightning type deal. So I would love to see them get back to that level. He's Shea Dixon. An easier national signing day than in years past, certainly. He's on Twitter at Shea Dixon. On 3, make sure you follow all the stuff there. You still got subscription deals going on over at On 3, the Bengal Tiger?
Yeah, no more dollar per year. That has to cut out eventually, obviously. But
Right.
but there are some deals if you check the site, and monthly, yearly, whatever you want to jump on. So I appreciate it. Yes, a quiet signing day, but if anything pops, I will let you know, and I'll get on the show.
We appreciate it, Jay. Thanks for the time, man. Enjoy the day.
Anytime. Thanks, Matt.
All right, bud. Thanks. It's After Further Review. We're brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com, theantiagingclinics.com. You know where to find them if you want to look and feel like your younger self. They can help you at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. They've helped me with hormone replacement therapy like they have thousands of men and women in South Louisiana. You could be next. A simple blood test can let you know if you're a candidate. Don't be... Whatever the objection, whatever the fear, whatever it may be that's dissuading you, just understand that every human, we all age. All of us do. And we age at a different rate, and there's nothing we can really do about it. Some of it happens more quickly. Some of it happens more slowly. There are accelerators like stress. But if you want to feel like your younger self, there is a way to do it. And a simple blood test can let you know if you're a candidate. It's the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and online, theantiagingclinics.com, theantiagingclinics.com. Kim Mulkey is going to join us coming up here in just a minute. There is a little bit of breaking news. However, Adam Schefter just a bit ago tweeting, the Saints and the Broncos are finalizing compensation in return for Super Bowl winning head coach Sean Payton. Sources tell ESPN. This clears the way for Payton to sign with the Broncos to become Denver's next head coach. And so Payton is expected to head to Denver as its new head coach. Again, Adam Schefter just tweeting that it looks like a deal between the Saints and the Broncos is going to get done for compensation for Sean Payton, as it appears they have offered him the job, and he is willing to accept. So if there's any more movement there, we'll let you know. But it looks like Sean Payton's headed to Denver, and pretty soon we should know what that compensation package will look like. And that's a really big deal for the Saints, as we've talked about a lot, because that is sort of the first domino that needed to fall for the Saints to go in the offseason to know what the entire basket or bucket of assets would look like going into the draft and into this offseason as the Saints try to rebuild a roster, which has now missed the playoffs in consecutive years. All right, it's After Further Review. We will knock out a quick break. Kim Mulkey, fresh off a huge win over the Tennessee Vols. She joins us next here on AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Let me hear it, Muse, if you got it handy. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Of course, the Get Gordon Jingle Dance Challenge is in its final day. You've been hearing me talk about it. If you haven't done it yet, make sure you get to any of Gordon's social media, and you can figure out how you can enter the Get Gordon Dance Challenge. Dance to the Get Gordon Jingle. You can win $2,500. But let me also remind you, this is really cool. Gordon has partnered with the LSU Lady Tigers on a sneaker deal. Actually, if you were watching the game against the Vols, you would have seen this. These custom Nike sneakers for all the ladies on the squad. Fantastic. Check it out. It's another way that Gordon's going above and beyond to do deals with his G-team partners. It's Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured in a wreck, it's not your fault. You need representation. Get Gordon and get it done. Go to getgordon.com.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And After Further Review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
What a win for the LSU Tiger basketball team. The ladies score a 76-68 win over Tennessee in front of 15,100 white-clad fans at the Maravich Center last night. As they say, if you build it, they will come, and my goodness, did they last night in droves. Kim Mulkey, who's always been great to us here, good enough to spend a couple of minutes on this victorious Tuesday. Coach, it's a pleasure. Thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. You've accomplished so much in your career. Do you take a moment to stop and let a night like last night soak in?
You do in the moment. You do right after the game. You do as soon as you walk on the floor. But then it's like you're focused on the game, and there'll be plenty of time to have memories, and we'll talk about that for a long time. And it was just an electric atmosphere, and the students throwing powder in the stands. It was crazy. You had to love it.
The atmosphere itself. Did I hear a neck in there? By the way, a lot of people asked.
I didn't hear it, but I sure got the fans letting me know that the students started chanting it, and the band quickly started trying to outplay them real loud so that nobody could understand what they were saying. But how are you going to stop students from chanting? But the band did not initiate it; it was the students.
No, I don't. Well, they're pretty good at initiating that, no matter what the band's playing.
That's correct.
You know what though? But I said the old adage, if you build it, they will come. I think this was always, even from when you were hired and we talked about, this was always the expectation that you had. But I don't know that anybody realistically thought here in the middle of your second season that you'd be undefeated overall and in conference play and have 15,000 fans at the Maravich Center. I want to talk about the game in a second and looking ahead in your team, but just one more on sort of the big picture. Do you have a pinch me type moment that it has happened so quickly?
We did 5 years at Baylor and won a national championship. That was a pinch me moment, and I made sure I told the fans that's unheard of. I don't know of anybody that can build it that quick. And then here we come in our second year and doing what we're doing now. We haven't arrived. We haven't won anything but games. Our non-conference schedule was weak because I didn't think I was having all these 9 transfers coming in here. But I guess you're just trying to build it, and you don't have these what I call unreasonable expectations too early, but we may be feeding that monster too quickly, and I have to kind of tell the fans, hey, guys, stop it now. Realize what we're doing here, but we're not – we haven't arrived yet.
Well, you got some special players, and, there was a lot made of Angel Reese breaking Sylvia Fowles' double-double record last week. And, look, whenever you move Sylvia Fowles aside in the LSU record book, you've accomplished something. I don't care what the statistic is. Last night, she was at 4-4 in the first half, then obviously exploded in the second half, had a double-double. What was going on in the first half? What did Tennessee do so well to neutralize her?
Well, you can go back and break it down. I mean, they had different people guarding her. They were very aware of her abilities, and I just thought they focused on keeping her off the boards. But now also on our defensive end, I put her on Rakia Jackson, and Rakia plays outside. So that brings Angel away from the rim a lot, and I think she got to ball watching and wasn't going in there to get positioned to help us on the defensive end rebounding, and I challenged her at halftime that you can't stay out there just because you're guarding a perimeter player. You got to come back in here and help us. We need your help. And, of course, you know what she did in the second half. We all did a tremendous job in the second half. They only got, I think, 2 offensive rebounds in the second half, and there was a time in that first half, my gosh, they must have gotten 5 offensive rebounds in a row.
Yeah. And I think every time, the other thing, it's just obviously a sign of a great team. Every time Tennessee would make a run and counterpunch, your team was there to answer. Look, Alexis Morris was awesome. Everyone's talking about the 31 points, which is a career high. I mean, we've seen Alexis here now for 2 seasons, but even still, that I know you've obviously known Alexis Morris a very long time. Can you put into context that night just how special that was for her to have that type of career night for her against Tennessee?
Well, Alexis is capable of doing that a lot. What people forget about Alexis is she now has the ball in her hand. She's your coach on the floor. She's your point guard. She's your quarterback. So she's involving everybody and trying to, spread the wealth. And people are like, what's wrong with her? What's wrong with her? Well, nothing's wrong with her. She just is doing what you want a quarterback to do. And it just so happens that last night she was just excellent because we needed her. And in the open floor, she just got a lot of stuff to the rim. And then she would, get her confidence and hit some threes. And we needed it because Flagey, for the first time in her career, she was assigned to guard Horston, who's a first rounder next year. And that takes a lot out of you, particularly when you're a freshman. And I thought, as I told Flagey today in the film room, you don't realize it, but you had your finest game since you've been at LSU because in her mind, she thinks I didn't score. You had 8 rebounds, and you held first rounder to 11 points and 3 rebounds.
Coach, I'm glad you brought up Flagey because that was actually what I was going to ask you about next. They were even talking about it on the broadcast last night. She played 34 minutes, and 5 points. She didn't stuff the stat sheet, but her impact on the game was significant. How did she react to that when you told her that in the film room today?
Well, she's listening intently. She's learning because, where Flagey and all freshmen come from in high school is that they're the leading scorer and everybody relies on them. And she's now on a team where she can score with the best of them. The kid should be considered as one of the top freshmen, and not just in the SEC, but in the entire country. Her point production is awesome. 2nd, 3rd leading scorer on our team. Not many freshmen do that. But what we're trying to develop with her is don't allow your point production to dictate rebounding, to dictate that you want to be a defensive stopper, and just become that all-around player that we're going to get great things from you, consistent things from you, and she's learning that.
Kim Mulkey's with us here for a couple more minutes. The LSU women moved to 21-0 on the season, 9-0 in conference play. They beat Tennessee, hand the Vols their first loss in conference play. One of the things that is pretty apparent with your team is they have belief. Like they have swag is probably a little overused on here, but you know what I mean. Like they play with that belief and that sort of vibe when they're out there. Do you coach that into them? Like, I would assume every coach wants their team to play with confidence, but it feels like it's palpable out there when you watch your team.
I have a very unique team in that I've got some strong personality. You've got a Flau'jae Johnson who is a rapper and pretty much very self-confident, and then you've got Angel Reese, and you know what she does on the floor, and then you've got Alexis Marsh, and then you've got LaDasia Williams, who quietly does her job, and then you've got Jasmine Carson, who can shoot the three ball with the best I've ever coached. They all have this personality, and you see it just come out, and they challenge each other. They'll come to the side and say something to me, and I'll go right back at them, and that's just what motivates them. They don't get their feelings hurt. I tell people all the time, in this day and age, if you can get a group of just true ballers that allow you to challenge them and coach them without them crying and hollering, oh, mental health, or that was too hard on us, they do it to each other. I sometimes in the preseason would have to call off inter-squad scrimmages because they going at each other, but then they're out eating dinner later in the night because that's what you do to make each other better.
Love it. And they also have incredible shoes now, thanks to Gordon. We're partnered with Gordon over here as well. I know he's done NIL deals with you and the whole team. Are you going to get the sneakers as well, or is that just for the kicks just for the team?
No, that's just for the kids. I want everybody to take care of them. They are so happy about the NIL opportunities they have at LSU. I think you've heard Angel Reese say it numerous times that it's not like this at every school, and they're very appreciative. And I'm just happy that these kids are experiencing wonderful things at LSU.
Coach, we got to get you some custom sneakers. I mean, I've stepped up my game here in the last month or so. Gordon's laying it out there. We got to get some custom Kims. I mean, they got Jordans, they got LeBrons, they got Lucas. We got to get some custom Kims. What are we doing?
Look, if you saw my closet and the number of Nike boxes I have that have never been opened after 40 years of coaching, someday I'm just going to donate them or auction them off or something. I'll wear the same pair of shoes an entire year. I'll wear the same. I love for the kids to want to do it, but I'm just an old 60-year-old woman that just give me the simple things in life.
Coach, I'm a 13, by the way, if you want to share the wealth. If you got anything in the closet that'll fit. That is Kim Mulkey. The LSU women's basketball team improves to 21-0. What a night last night at the Maravich Center. Coach, we appreciate some time as always. Congrats again. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right, it's our pleasure. Kim Mulkey joining us here on After Further Review. Always appreciate a couple of minutes with Kim Mulkey. I mean, I'm sure when the season's over, she'll step back and let it all soak in. When you're in it, I would imagine it's head down work because you got, as she said, they've won games. They haven't won anything. They haven't won the league. They haven't won tournament games. They haven't hung any banners yet. I mean, they've won a lot of games, but last year they won one game in the tournament and they got bounced. So, yeah, there's going to come a time where I think she'll sit back and look at what they've all accomplished, but there's still a lot more to accomplish. So congrats to Coach Mulkey. We appreciate some time today. We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen and SouthPointVW.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at SouthPointVW.com, SouthPointVW.com. If you're thinking about a new vehicle, if you're in the market or might be in the market for a new vehicle, get on by South Point Volkswagen. You know where to find them. They're at Airline just north of Highland. If you don't live in Baton Rouge, could be worth the drive. They give you the best deal on a brand new Volkswagen. Make the drive to Baton Rouge. Or if you're in Baton Rouge, you know right where they are at South Point Volkswagen. The Tiguan, the Atlas Cross Sport, 9 different IIHS top safety picks. It's the highest safety designation. 9 IIHS top safety picks, the highest safety designation. So whenever you're driving a Volkswagen, you know you're driving one of the safest vehicles on the road. Go see our friends today at South Point Volkswagen or shop them online at SouthPointVW.com. For South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're with us. Normally we do around the SEC right there, but that was the window when Coach Mulkey was available. So we'll break, come back, go around the SEC. If you weren't here a bit ago, Adam Schefter first to break the news that Sean Payton and the Saints and the Broncos have agreed on compensation for Sean Payton, opening the door for Sean Payton to become the next Broncos head coach. Waiting on that announcement from Denver if, in fact, they do get that deal done and finalized. We do know the compensation now, however, as Schefter is reporting that it would be the Saints would receive for Sean Payton Denver's 2023 first-round pick. So that's this year's one, next year's second-round pick, and the Saints would allow the rights to Sean Payton and the Saints' 2024 third-round pick. So the Saints would get a 1 and a 2 for Sean Payton and a 3. So the Saints look like they're poised to acquire the first-round pick, which they did not have in this year's draft. We'll see what they might be able to turn that into coming up in April. All right, after further review, quick break, come back, go around the SEC. Don't you move.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local. That's Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Seaganeer Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Some of those plants love this cooler weather. It is a great time to just plant something. So get by and see our friends at Clegg's Nursery. Maybe it's seed potatoes. They are here at Clegg's Nursery. Man, there's a few things that taste better than new potatoes from your own backyard. It's fun. It's easy. It's a project that'd be good for the whole family. So get out in the backyard with the kids as well and plant your own garden. And Clegg's Nursery can help. By the way, start thinking about this. If you're noticing weeds in your lawn, Clegg's can help with that as well. So stop in, ask about their lawn weed cocktail to knock out those weeds before they spring when springtime comes. When springtime comes. It's at Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you in to Clegg's Nursery.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications. The powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast who was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infinity QX80.
Experience the Infinity QX80 at your local Infinity retailer.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
We know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Moon Griffon is back. The voice of Louisiana politics makes his return to Baton Rouge. Catch the Moon Griffon Show weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on Talk.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, thanks again to Kim Mulkey, who is just with us. Shea Dixon to start the show. Tomorrow is the traditional National Signing Day. We are keeping an eye on one prospect in particular. It's defensive lineman Jamel Howard, who's out of the Chicago area. He's crystal ball to Wisconsin. He was once a Wisconsin commit. He decommitted, opened up his recruitment. LSU got a visit, but it's likely he's staying there in the Midwest, either with Wisconsin or with Michigan. But LSU will have a hat on the table. Likely to be a quiet day for LSU. And as Brian Kelly and his staff move into year 2, the focus heretofore is going to be how can you supplement the roster if there are other transfer opportunities to add guys to this roster. But with 25 high school players signed, LSU very likely done there. Something could always happen. There always could be flips or signing day surprises, but it looks like LSU could be done, but a quiet day tomorrow. So thanks to Shea. If you missed that, or Kim Mulkey, you can always get it on demand at 1045ESPN.com. All right, we do it every day about this time. Actually, last segment, but because we had Kim Mulkey, we moved it. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Well, Alabama's still searching for a new offensive coordinator. This after Ryan Grubb says he'll remain offensive coordinator at the University of Washington. He'd interviewed Monday with Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide for their OC vacancy, but Grubb, who just finished his first season at UW, says he's staying there in the Pacific Northwest. Alabama looking to replace Bill O'Brien, of course, left to fill the Patriots OC vacancy. Washington finished 7th in the country in scoring offense in 2022. Ryan Grubb staying put.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Offensive coordinator Todd Monken wrapped up his interview with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for their OC opening. Monken also interviewed with the Ravens last week. Monken's is the 5th different candidate the Bucs have interviewed. Of course, has been the OC at Georgia for the last 3 seasons. Georgia has yet to lose any of its on-field assistants so far in the cycle.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
State's landed a commitment from Georgia tight end Rylan Goody. Goody announced he's transferring to the Bulldogs, so from Bulldogs to Bulldogs. He's also engaged to former Georgia volleyball player Alexa Fortin. She's transferring to Mississippi State as well, so the happy couple goes together. Goody saw reserve snaps in 11 of Georgia's 15 games during the championship season.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
On the eve of National Signing Day, Ole Miss pulled a commit from 3-star edge Chamberlain Campbell. He's the 63rd best edge rusher, number 109 in the state of Florida. He's a 3-star, chose Ole Miss over Miami, Auburn, Missouri, Florida State, Michigan State, and others. 6'5", 210, so thin, but they think that they can put some weight on him.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Following his performance in the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl out in Cali last week, Kentucky cornerback Kedron Smith has accepted an invitation to the Senior Bowl. Joins Kentucky running back Chris Rodriguez there in Mobile for the 73rd annual event. The game is this Saturday, practice, of course, all week. Smith transferred in from Ole Miss in one season at Kentucky. He started 12 of 13 games and was named second team All-SEC. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. You can learn more at gcopnet.com. gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. Face-to-face sales, service after the sale. That's what you always get. You get dynamic collaboration with live interactive whiteboards. Maybe it's scanners, fax machines, printers, all-in-ones that you need, multifunctional printers, video conferencing, cut sheet printers, wide format printers, other software. They do it all. Gulf Coast Office Products, the unchallenged leader in this region. It's Gulf Coast Office Products, gcopnet.com, gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. All right, it's after further review. We are glad to have you hanging out with us here. By the way, Jimmy Ott just sent a text, so the Otter does have an early play. If you're following along for Otter Locks, Jimmy is giving out Mississippi State, so that's a 5:30 tip. Let me check DraftKings real quick to see what the line is. As always, if it's single digits, Otter says to buy the half a point. Not sure if you were paying attention last night, but he gave you 3 college basketball games yesterday. One of them hit. The other 2 pushed if you bought the half point. So, again, you will get burned by the half point. So when he says buy the half point, buy it. Let's see. The state line is All right, State 9.5. State's a 9.5 point favorite. So buy it to 9 and take Mississippi State in the game that tips off at 5 o'clock. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. Feinswog returns after a few-week hiatus. We'll talk some beer with him and some LSU men's basketball. Kat Terrell will join us in hour number 3. She's in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. We'll get an update on Senior Bowl practice, the Saints offseason, and I've got to get a thought on the big news. If you haven't heard it, Adam Schefter breaking the news. Saints and Broncos have agreed on compensation for Sean Payton. So that opens the door for Sean Payton to become the next head coach of the Denver Broncos, and DeMeco Ryans is expected to be named the head coach of the Houston Texans. There are reports out there that announcement here is imminent, waiting on final announcements from those teams. But the coaching carousel, those dominoes are starting to fall. Looks like the Saints are going to recoup a first-round pick for Sean Payton. All right, hour number 2 coming up after SportsCenter.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. ShawbillsTire.com, home of the Charlie's Dozen. It is Shawbills, and the newest location in Laplace is coming soon. That's going to be location number 18 of Shawbills. Of course, they started in Morgan City. They moved up north toward Baton Rouge, west into Port Allen, over toward Lafayette. Their most recent location was in Livingston Parish. They're in Denham Springs, and now the newest location in Laplace is coming soon. We'll tell you when they open their doors. ShawbillsTire.com to find that location nearest you, to shop tires online, to see all of the great promotions that they have, or to learn about Shawbills and the Charlie's Dozen. Like when you buy tires at Shawbills, they extend a dozen benefits not only to you and your tires, but every vehicle in your family, even if they didn't buy the tires at Shawbills. It's just what they say. You treat people like family, and they keep coming back year after year. It's ShawbillsTire.com for Shawbills, where we keep you rolling.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. Following days of cover-ups at the West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office, the WBRZ investigative unit obtained an email that shows Mike Kaz appointed a former state trooper as his chief of staff. The email went out department-wide and makes things clear there shall be no contact with the sheriff pertaining to any matters dealing with the West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Department. It raises questions tonight about what Kaz is doing. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside off the bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them. Because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast that was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti retailer.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Three people walk into a bar. The first two order the same old margs. The third, Nuevo Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer. Crafted with real lime juice and a crisp tequila flavor. Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news, Sean Payton has made his decision. He will become the next head coach of the Broncos, reports ESPN's Adam Schefter. New Orleans and Denver agreeing on compensation regarding the Super Bowl winning coach. The Broncos sending their 2023 first-round pick and 2024 second-round pick to the Saints for Payton and New Orleans' 2024 third-rounder. Payton should be warmly welcomed by quarterback Russell Wilson, especially after his disastrous first season in Denver, notes ESPN's Ryan Clark.
Sometimes you need the game to humble you, and it will do that. And so now Sean Payton can come in, or should be able to come in, and coach Russell Wilson extremely hard. Russell Wilson should accept that. And if he does, I believe this can be a marriage that works offensively for the Denver Broncos.
Ryan Clark on NFL Live. The Texans have filled their head coaching vacancy as well. Schefter also reports they've agreed to hire 49ers defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans as their new coach. NBA, ESPN's Dave McMenamin reporting LeBron James back for the Lakers tonight against the Knicks. He was out last night with foot soreness. LeBron 117 points away from becoming the NBA's all-time scoring leader.
If you want to find quality new hires in the new year, post on Indeed. When you sponsor a post, you'll get matched instantly with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed meet your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
Let's ride.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us, AFR. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Musu. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Shea Dixon last hour, Kim Mulkey last hour. We'll head to Mobile and chat with Terrell about 1 hour from right now there at the Senior Bowl practices, where we have a lot to discuss, not only the Senior Bowl, who the Saints staff is looking at there, what the Saints might be looking for in this offseason, and the big breaking news today of Sean Payton. Let's recap it all. If you're just knocking off work, jumping in the car, we'll let you know the big news of the day. So earlier in the day, Tuesday, Ian Rappaport was a guest on the Pat McAfee show, and he sort of let it be known that the Sean Payton to Denver deal was very much alive.
I know there's a lot of discussion like Denver can outspend. They're all rich. They are all rich. 18 or 16 million, like these are people who are worth billions. Like these are
25
rounding errors. Like
25.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to. I mean, we'll see. Look, if Sean Payton gets $25 million, that is awesome, and he should get it. Because my guess is he'll be worth it. Like, he's a very good coach. Look at their situation. There are two things that could be happening right now, and they are opposite. One is Denver is collecting itself and getting ready to put in new slips to restart their search. Or they are going to someone who has not yet been eliminated. Many of the candidates have been eliminated. When Harbaugh officially signs his deal, I will eliminate him, but I don't think that's been eliminated 1,000%. And Sean Payton has not been eliminated. So until Sean says, I'm definitely going back to TD, or until Harbaugh says, we're good and I'm definitely going back to Michigan, like those are still options.
So that was earlier today. Rappaport said very much an option, Sean Payton to Denver. And then Adam Schefter broke the news about an hour ago that the Saints and the Broncos finalizing compensation in return for Sean Payton, which, of course, clears the way for Sean Payton to become the Broncos' next head coach, and Payton expected to head to Denver. We now know what that compensation is for Sean Payton. Denver is sending to New Orleans this year's first-round pick and next year's second-round pick. The Saints, in turn, are sending Sean Payton the rights to Sean Payton, and Denver can do their own contract with Sean Payton. Again, you're not trading Sean Payton's contract. You're just trading his rights, and then Sean Payton will sign a new deal with Denver. And the Saints' 2024 third-round pick. So the Saints are getting this year's first-rounder and next year's second-rounder in exchange for Sean Payton's rights and next year's third-rounder. That's how it all plays out. So if you're kind of following along, this is what the Saints' draft capital looks like now for 2023 in this upcoming fall draft. The Saints will have the first-round pick from Denver via Miami and San Francisco. Of course, Denver sent Bradley Chubb to Miami and got that pick for a pick via San Fran. So ultimately, it's San Francisco's pick, the 29th pick in the draft. So that's what we know right now. The Saints will get the 29th pick from Denver, and then the Saints picks. They have the 40th overall pick. The round 3 pick is number 71 overall. They also have a 4, 2 5s, and a 7. That's the Saints draft compensation right now. So they have 7 selections overall, no 6th round pick, but 2 5s. So a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, 2 5s, and a 7. And for the Saints, while the 29th overall pick isn't necessarily appealing if you're thinking quarterback, like a lot of us are, because it is largely thought that this year's quarterback class is going to be very top-heavy. You know that you're going to see Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud and Will Levis, and then the next guy most talk about is Anthony Richardson. So those players, if they all come off the board in the top 10 picks, none of them will be on the board for the Saints at 29. And there may not be a quarterback left in this draft that the Saints value that high. So potentially you're in a position at 29 to take the best player available. And if there's a player that you really like, let's say it's Hendon Hooker, I'm only throwing that out there. I like him a lot. I know many of you do as well. And coming off the ACL, maybe a player that's there. Maybe you take Hendon Hooker in round 2, hold your breath, and hope he's there at 40 overall, 10 picks into round 2. So maybe that's the option you go. Look, the Saints team needs a lot of help. Okay? That's not breaking news, right? You missed the playoffs now, back-to-back seasons. The biggest liability that you had this year, where you saw a really good group diminished, was your rush defense. The Saints went on this NFL record-setting streak of not allowing a 100-yard rusher, and then this year fell to 22nd in the NFL in rush defense. Your interior just was not very good. You've seen a lot of guys leave. You've seen Sheldon Rankins leave. You traded away Malcolm Brown. David Onyemata wasn't as effective this year, and you were cycling through guys that just, if it was Malcolm Roach or Shea Tuttle, that just aren't star players in the NFL. So you need to shore up the interior of your defensive line. Maybe you can do that with a big interior defensive lineman at 29. The other thing the Saints very obviously need is a pass rush. You're not getting an elite edge rusher at 29. You're not. Your best case is you find Trey Hendrickson again. A guy that is an extremely productive, elite pass rusher that for whatever reason, smaller school, whatever, teams pass on. And you're able to get him at great value and he delivers. That's going to be the Saints' best opportunity at an edge rusher. But realistically, what they need is the guys on the field, on the team now to emerge, and that's Payton Turner, quite honestly. You used a first-round pick a year ago on Payton Turner. You've gotten absolutely zero for him. So if he can be part of a rotation to give you any production next year, great. That would be fantastic. So you start to look at what the Saints can do with those picks. So there's 2 parts of this. Number one, it's Sean Payton going to Denver. The other part of it is what this move means for the New Orleans Saints. As for Sean Payton going to Denver, look, I, like many of you, acknowledged when Sean Payton, a year ago around this time, announced he was stepping away from football, that he was never coming back. And while we may have held out hope about a reunion this year, or if he went back to TV maybe next year, I think we all deep down knew that when Sean Payton walked away last year, the Saints burned the boats. They were moving on. They had to move on as an organization. They couldn't be held hostage by whatever decision Sean Payton may make, as much as we would have loved to have seen him back. So, him moving on, really you had to answer two questions, or hope two factors went your way. One is, what could you get for him? Could you get assets that help you rebuild your team? The answer is yes. You get a first-round pick this year, a second-round pick next year. Great. The other is you didn't want him to go to a place where he'd beat you. Going to Carolina would have been a terrible scenario. And I'm not sure that was ever a realistic possibility. Denver is about as good a spot as you could hope for. He's in the AFC, so he's in a different conference. He's in the AFC West. Out of sight, out of mind. The only way you'd ever run across Sean Payton in the playoffs is in the Super Bowl. So you hope that never happens. Could it happen? Sure. Look at Andy Reid. He was in Philly for 14 years, took him to a Super Bowl, 5 NFC championship games. They fire him. He goes to Kansas City, and now they're playing each other in the Super Bowl a week from Sunday. So could it happen? Sure. Is it likely? No. This will be the first time it's ever happened where a coach in the Super Bowl will coach against a team he brought to a Super Bowl. So possible, yes. Likely, no. So Sean Payton, out of sight, out of mind. And he's going to a place where he likely is going to be able to thrive. Look, remember, this was the interview he did with Cowherd not long ago where he talked about what he would do for Russell Wilson.
You correct flaws immediately, and then we don't worry about how long the process is going to take. In other words, I'd want to cut up of all Russell's pass plays of 30 or more yards from the field, and I'd want to see, are there some schemes that he felt very comfortable with? Like, I know that they did a great job in Seattle of bringing him off of a naked boot and then pulling up, and we all saw that, like, throwback to Lockett across the field where the ball traveled 60 yards in the air. Then I'd want to look at another film of his red zone touchdown passes inside the 20. And so what I'm asking for from assistants is I'm asking for some of his greatest hits and to make sure that we have those song lyrics available. and if not, let's put them in.
So Sean Payton obviously given a lot of thought to playing with Russ, coaching Russ there in Denver. Our buddy Jeff Duncan just tweeted a moment ago. I'll read you the tweet from Jeff Duncan. Again, whenever we talk about Jeff Duncan and talk to Jeff Duncan, I point out that he literally wrote the book on Sean Payton and Drew Brees. So when Jeff talks about Sean, you know it's rooted in, well, Sean. So Jeff Duncan tweeted, just got off the phone with Sean Payton. So keep in mind, less than an hour after the news breaks that Sean Payton's going to Denver, Sean Payton's taking Jeff Duncan's call. He's stoked about the chance to coach the Broncos. Quote, great fan base, great tradition. The ownership group is fantastic, and I love the way they competed last year. It's a great football city like we had in New Orleans, end quote. So, again, the report about Sean Payton clashing with the ownership group in Denver, clearly not true, as he's ending up there. But Sean Payton's back at it. He'll be the Broncos head coach. What it means for New Orleans is the Saints now are armed with more ammunition to go into this offseason to try to rebuild this roster. You get a first-round pick. If you end up solidifying the interior of your defensive line, if you find an edge rusher that you really like, you're probably going to part ways with Andrus Peat this offseason in a cost-cutting move. Maybe you find an interior offensive lineman that could be a starter for you. Or maybe that's Trevor Penning last year and you're not looking offensive line. The bottom line is when you are a 7-10 football team, you have a lot of holes. You have a lot of things to fix, and the Saints now have another asset to use to try to fix them. So Sean Payton is headed to Denver to be their head coach. The Saints get Denver's first-round pick, the 29th overall pick of the draft, and their second-round pick next year in exchange for Sean Payton and the Saints' third-round pick in 2024. As this develops, we'll keep you posted. Okay, it's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break. Talk some beer and Tiger Hoops with Lee Feinswog next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Darren James and Associates, brokered by eXp Realty. Every home listed by every company, all in one place. Agent225.com. Agent225.com for Darren James, where, Darren, we always love to share raving fan shout-outs from Darren James. This one comes courtesy of Dylan Major, who sent this 5-star review. Darren, simply put, is just better. He's him. He's the guy that's going to get it done without hesitation. You won't go a single second wondering what's going on. 10 out of 10. That is another raving fan review of Darren James. How many reviews do you read like that about realtors? Well, if it's Darren James, you read them all the time because Darren's the best. It's why he's on the Wall Street Journal's list of the top 1% of realtors in America. Need to sell your home? Need to sell it quickly? You need Darren James. Agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Oh, it's been a minute. Lee joins us. What's going on, man?
Many minutes.
Yeah. Well,
Many
minute is slang, meaning a long time.
No, I know.
I don't literally mean a minute because, that obviously is incorrect.
Well, it was many long times.
Yes.
Yeah, I had to head over to Austin for a few days and then was in Southern California for a week. And luckily got there after all that horrible weather. And, Matt, it was just incredible. 65-ish every day. Never saw a cloud. No humidity. Just Randy Newman playing in my head. Another sunny day. I love L.A.
Why'd you come back here?
I asked myself that a couple of times. And, so I could drink the beer that I have for you for later to talk about. I couldn't get the one I've got out in L.A. Although, as you would imagine, I did not get shortchanged. my beers out there.
Well, would any good ones? Any local fare?
Yeah, Southern California beer called 805. They make a lot of. I had some IPAs, some ambers. Always can pick up some Stone out there. In fact, I've got a Stone that's in my queue to try for you.
Okay,
and, it's on, but that's not this week's beer. Hey, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
A hypothetical.
Sure.
So Nick Saban leaves LSU, goes to the Dolphins, spends a couple of years, and then goes to Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And once that happened, everybody hated Nick Saban.
Right.
So Sean Payton retires-ish, takes a year off, and then goes to the Broncos. So if you're a Saints fan, do you now hate Sean Payton?
No, I think the perplexing thing about Nick was that, and that narrative has changed over time. Nobody hated Nick when he went to Miami. When Nick coached,
right.
I know, when Nick coached in Tiger Stadium with the Dolphins against the Saints, there were a lot of people who went to the game to cheer for Nick Saban. It was when he came back and then went to the team in LSU's division and then started beating LSU every year when it became a real problem. So Sean Payton being in the AFC West, you're never really going to run up against him. I don't think that it's going to be a thing. No, I don't.
So if 2 years from now, Arthur Blank in Atlanta opens the coffers and hires him to coach the Falcons, do you get to hate him then?
Yes. Well, I just hate everything having to do with Atlanta. So of course I'm going to hate Sean Payton. I'll hate everybody that's there.
Okay, at least you're an equal opportunity hater.
Well, no, it's just Atlanta.
We're only what are we now, about seven weeks away from Selection Sunday?
I haven't honestly paid a lick of attention, Lee, because with
but
LSU so far out of it, it's really disappointing. I miss the days where, of course, when Dale Brown had LSU in 13 consecutive tournaments, where every year you knew your team's name was going to be called. And it's a lot of fun when you have that anticipation and you're looking at bracketology and all that stuff, and it's just not this year.
No, speaking of bracketology, I mean, LSU is 137 in the net, and only team worse is South Carolina. And South Carolina's at 273.
Yeah.
Geez, that's brutal. LSU at 137. So even with a spectacular finish, they're not even looking at NIT.
My hope for this team was that they were going to manage to get to 8-10 in league play, and if they had done that, they could maybe earn it. They would earn an NIT bid. That was my hope.
Yeah.
And
but what's weird?
They're going to fall.
I'm sorry.
They're going to fall woefully short of that, obviously.
Oh, obviously. If you look at this team just statistically, it's better. It's a 500 team in the conference. It's not like they're getting killed on shooting percentages or, shooting like 50% free throws, something terrible like that. Their assist to turnover ratio is almost identical. Even up, they just can't make plays. They're tough to watch. I feel sorry for them because I've told you before how much I like the way they play, how hard they play, and the way they approach it.
They're just not very talented, Lee. I mean, there's no other way to say it.
No.
You can't coach them to more than they are. I mean, they had a run out on Saturday. I was watching the game against Texas Tech. You get a defensive rebound and a run out, and Trey Hannibal misses a layup. I mean, missed a layup, man.
I'm not trying.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not criticizing Trey Hannibal. Like, that's just my point. Is that they are what they are, man, and they're just not a very talented team. And Matt McMahon is going to have to, use this year and then going into next year to rebuild this roster and add talent that they just completely lack right now.
Yeah, he's doing all the right things, but at the risk of alienating everybody who's riding the wave of women's basketball happiness. You talk about missing a layup. Oh my God, it's painful to watch. Two really, really good teams like the LSU Tennessee game, and there's so many missed shots inside 2 feet. It's torturous to watch.
Well, here's the thing, and this is I think, regardless of what sport you may enjoy or not enjoy, like I I am more of an NBA fan than I am a college basketball fan for the reason you just stated. It's just a higher caliber of game. All right. I know you're talking about the women's, but I will watch Milwaukee and Detroit on a Tuesday night on TNT, and I'm not seeking out, USC against Colorado. I just in basketball ever. But when I use this line all the time, Lee, if it's purple and gold and it wins, this town will support it. And it's a lot of fun to watch a team that is winning the way that Kim Mulkey has that team winning right now. And it's not that dissimilar from what they were when they went to 5 straight Final Fours. And you could put 15,000 people in the Maravich Center because people want to go support a winner, and they are winning.
No doubt. Speaking of winning, though, Matt, and the reason I brought up Selection Sunday is because you know that every year, if anybody listens, they know how every year I pick Purdue to win no matter what.
Of course.
Purdue, of course, is ranked number one, unanimous number one in the AP poll, 21-1. Have you watched them play and seen the 7'4" Canadian?
No, of course not. Why would I watch Purdue basketball? It's hard enough.
Because
it's hard enough. I just told you that. It's hard enough for me to watch LSU basketball, and I'm obligated because I have to talk about it here. I'm certainly not seeking out Purdue basketball ever.
Purdue's got a 7'4" center from Toronto named Zach Edey, who is just so much fun to watch. The team is really cool. And then, so you haven't watched West Virginia play either.
I saw some of their game on Saturday in the SEC Big 12 Challenge.
Yeah, I watched that game on the airplane coming back and watched Eric Stevenson. And Eric Stevenson is a fun player to watch because he's pretty talented. You realize he's on his 4th school?
No.
Played a season at Washington after playing 2 seasons at Wichita State, and then played at South Carolina. And now is at West Virginia.
Yeah, I bet most people listening don't even know who Eric Stevenson is. You know what? But to the point I was making earlier, tonight, 6:30 on TNT before the Pels is Lakers at Knicks. LeBron's going to play at the Garden. I'm going to watch that. I'm going to go home and I'm going to watch Lakers Knicks tonight.
And you're watching a once in a generation guy, 38 years old, and doing what he's doing this year is unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's truly unbelievable.
And I'll be rooting against him tonight.
Well, because you root against everybody pretty much.
I don't root against everybody. I'm a Pelicans fan. The Pelicans are in the Western Conference. Yes, I was a Hornets fan when they came here in 2002.
I've still got the shirt from the Picayune when they made the T-shirt. We got them.
I would love a shirt like that, but I have a vintage Hornets shirt from when the first year Erica and I dated, her Valentine's Day present to me, she got us tickets to a Hornets game. We went and watched the Hornets and the Magic, and she gave me a long-sleeve purple New Orleans Hornets T-shirt. So, yeah, man, I'm in. If it's Louisiana teams, I'm in, man. I'm always in. And the Pelicans and the Lakers are both in the Western Conference, and depending on what happens whenever both teams get healthy, the Lakers will get AD back and the Pels will get Zion back. They could be jockeying for seeding, and, of course, the Pelicans still have, the Lakers' entire draft for the next 10 years, so I want them to keep sucking.
Those two guys you just mentioned, how snake-bit are they? Huh? Anthony Davis and Zion Williamson. The injuries and the amount of time that those two extremely talented players have missed is really sad.
It is.
It's just incredible.
Well, the thing with Zion, and I'm I hope that at some point in his career, and hopefully soon, that he or someone associated finds a way to help him physically get to a point where he can have more longevity. But when you're that big, this isn't new, right? But the whole thing is when you're that big and you're that explosive, your body's going to break down. So what are the things he can do? Maybe it's weight loss, maybe it's more plyo, I don't know. But what are the things he can do to prolong and sustain a career? And I'm hoping they figure that out.
Indeed.
Yeah. Because there's a big difference between that and if you're Anthony Davis and you break a thumb or something like that, right? I mean, he said you have a hard fall and you hurt your tailbone, or he's had shoulder injuries. Some of that is just the physicality of the game. But he's haunted. Yeah, I'm just saying the soft tissue stuff that Zion deals with. He's got a hamstring right now. He hurt the meniscus as a rookie. Those are the things that you start to go, man. that's not bad luck. That's perpetual, right? Like, that's a problem.
Yep.
They play Denver tonight, 9 o'clock. I'll be watching that too, by the way.
Hey, you know who the Denver play-by-play announcer is?
No, I don't.
Ding boys, are you ready? 1984 USA Olympic volleyball gold medalist Chris Marlowe. Chris Marlowe, who draped himself in the flag, and in Los Angeles when they won in 1984.
No idea, but I'm sure he's great. But you know what, Lee? I guarantee you this much: tonight, when I watch the Lakers and the Knicks.
Oh, you need one of these.
And when I watch the Pellies go into Denver and get it done and snap this losing streak, I'll be drinking a beer. Actually, probably not.
What is the malted liquor? What gets you drunker quicker? What comes in bottles or in cans? Beer. Can't get enough of it. Beer. How we really love it. Beer. Makes me think I'm a man. Beer. I could kiss and hug it, but I'd rather chug it. Beer. Got my belly out to here. Beer. I could not refuse it. I could really use a beer. Beer.
Take it away.
This is one for this night like tonight where the temperatures dropped a little bit. Abita French Toast Stout. Are you kidding me? This is the game notes from them. With creamy notes of maple syrup, cinnamon, vanilla, and nutmeg, this stout will have you craving breakfast for dinner. A decadent brew inspired by a morning favorite, our French Toast Stout has a smooth and subtle sweetness, perfect for any time of day. For me, again, kind of like a dessert beer, but very tasty. 8%, Matt, and and dark.
I'm looking at the picture that Paulie pulled up right there. I mean, that beer is jet black. That's crazy dark.
This one's good. This is if you're adventurous, it's a limited production. Probably run out in April. It's available everywhere. But the Abita French Toast Stout. How about that, huh?
All right.
I mean,
French
and
Toast
again,
Stout.
one of those things. I had to come home and do the research for you because I couldn't get this one in L.
Your commitment to the show, unparalleled. Unrivaled. We appreciate it greatly.
It's not to the show. It's to you, Matt.
Thank you,
all about you.
Thank you very much, and not your liver.
May your teams prosper.
What is on Sports Monday this week?
On Sports 225,
Rec
Superintendent Corey Wilson and Jimmy Kleinpeter, our old friend who covers those aforementioned Lady Tigers, and we'll talk about the phenomenon that is that team this year. And go to sports225.com and watch the show on Cox 4, which is your view. And support Matt's advertisers.
Thank you, Lee.
Bye, Matt.
It's AFR.
AFR.
And one of those advertisers is Rouse's. So get your king cakes over at Rouse's. I would also venture to believe you could probably get the beer, the French Toast Stout that Lee just talked about, at any Rouse's location as well. Get to Rouse's for all your craft beer. They've got it. And, of course, they've got king cakes. Carnival season is upon us. Man, you can't walk into work any day without seeing a king cake in the kitchen. Be the hero at work. On your way, swing into Rouse's, get a king cake, get a couple of king cakes. Bring them into the kitchen at work and be everybody's best friend. Or bring a king cake home tonight for dessert, or ship that king cake anywhere in the country to that displaced Southerner or to that client who just wants a little taste of Louisiana. Rouses.com. Again, you get the king cake shipped anywhere. The black and gold king cake, the parade package, that'll come with beads and doubloons and stuff as well. It's all at Rouses. Get to Rouses.com and get your king cakes.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. Following days of cover-ups at the West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office, the WBRZ investigative unit obtained an email that shows Mike Kaz appointed a former state trooper as his chief of staff. The email went out department-wide and makes things clear there shall be no contact with the sheriff pertaining to any matters dealing with the West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Department. It raises questions tonight about what Kaz is doing. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull?
menacing beast who was born to float, a force of nature, the embodiment of grace, quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti retailer.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, we're glad you're rolling along with us here on a busy Tuesday on AFR. Developing news here on the show today, if you haven't heard yet. Sean Payton, he is off to Denver. The teams have agreed on compensation that would allow Sean Payton to become the next head coach of the Denver Broncos. Adam Schefter, the first to have it. The Saints are going to get Denver's first-round pick this year, which is 29 overall. Would have been 30, but remember, Miami doesn't have a first-rounder. So where San Francisco slotted 30th because Miami forfeited its first-round pick this year because of the Brian Flores stuff, it will actually be the 29th selection. And then next year's second-round pick. So you really hope that Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos completely flame out in year one. So the second rounder the Saints get next year is an early second rounder instead of a late second rounder. So a couple of things. By the way, Muse, hit me up with some poll results. So our Citizens Bank and Trust poll question is having to do with Sean Payton. The news today, Schefter broke it that Sean Payton appears to be headed or is headed to the Denver Broncos. Fire away there, Muse.
So today's Citizens Bank poll question, did the Saints get enough compensation in return for Sean Payton? 50.9%, so 51% say yes.
So it's basically 50-50.
Right now, yep.
And so when you saw the tweet from Schefter, the compensation tweet, what was your thought immediately? Just what first went into your head?
Great that you got a first-round pick. That was the goal. You were never going to get two. Liked that the second pick was the second. I don't necessarily love giving them a pick, but what can you do?
So, essentially, you didn't say it, but I felt like I expected more. I don't love giving them the third.
Yeah,
if you had gotten a 1 and a 2, I'd have been like, okay, that's probably about right. I mean, we had talked a lot about the John Gruden deal in 2002, where it was 2 1s, 2 2s, and $8 million, and we knew that was unrealistic. And the Saints wanted a first rounder. I guess I had kind of hoped that my pie in the sky hope was Houston, and you could somehow get their second first round pick.
Yeah.
The pick they got from Cleveland, which I believe is
11 or 12. It's in that range.
That was my hope. Because if you're in that range, now you're in position to take a quarterback or maybe make a move to take a quarterback. Or whatever player you get, you would expect is going to be a day one starter. Late first round pick is a little bit more of a crapshoot. You hope you're getting a guy that's certainly a guy that's going to make your team and maybe could be a starting caliber player, but in a given draft, you may only have a first round grade on 12 guys. I don't know the number, but it could vary draft to draft. So if you're the Saints and you don't have a first round grade on 29 players, put it that way, then you are overdrafting then at 29. So maybe the play, and I know what we're all going to sit here and think, trade back. Yeah, they're not trading back. Okay, the Saints don't trade back. They've never done that. Has never been their MO. It's not what they do. It's not how they carry themselves. They're not trading back. They'll use that pick. If anything, they'll package picks, maybe that pick, and next year's 2 that they just got from Denver, and move up if there's a player they want. They're antsy. They don't just sit and let the draft come to them. They've never been that team. So they're not going to be this year. There's some things, though, that are also, I think, worth mentioning. Sean Payton will return to New Orleans with the Denver Broncos in 2024. Remember, in the COVID year, the Saints played in Denver. That was the game where, would you look up the guy's name for me, please? The Broncos, their entire quarterback room got gutted because of COVID, so they had to bring a practice squad receiver who had dabbled and played quarterback in college to the active roster to play quarterback against the Saints. A game in Denver. What was his name?
Kendall Hinton.
Kendall Hinton. So, poor guy.
Wide receiver, number 9. As
poor
it says
guy.
here in the
What's he
box
doing
score.
now? What's he doing now? We'll click on his bio.
Well, that's what I'm doing, but it looks like he's still in the league somewhere.
Good for him if he is. He deserves it after that day. Kendall Hinton played quarterback for Denver. That was the game in Denver in 2020. So that means, of course, you play as it goes. You rotate the division opponents that you play each year from the AFC. So 2020, they played the AFC West. Denver was on the road, meaning 2024, the AFC West rotates back on the Saints schedule, and they will play Denver in the Dome. So not this season, but the following, Sean Payton will coach the Broncos in the Superdome. Is he still in the league?
He is. He had 22 receptions for 311 yards this year.
For Denver?
For the Denver Broncos.
Okay. Boy, that
is what it looks like.
Hackett loved him some Kendall Hinton, huh?
Hey, man.
Atta boy. They needed somebody to go catch passes for him. So, again, Sean Payton will be in New Orleans in 2024. The other big question, as we start to check the box and talk about this whole conversation with Sean Payton going to Denver, is staff. And will Sean Payton look to this current Saints staff for positions in Denver? Most certainly he will. I mean, let's not forget, Sean Payton assembled this staff. This is his organization that exists. The Saints elevated Dennis Allen. They kept Pete Carmichael in place. They promoted Ryan Nielsen, who now, of course, is in Atlanta as their defensive coordinator. But Sean Payton brought in Chris Richard. All of these coaches are coaches that Sean Payton hired. So it would stand to reason that he would go and probably pursue some members of the current Saints staff to join him in Denver. So you're probably going to have some turnover now on the Saints staff. It might even make sense if that no good, lousy bum Dan Rauscher joined Sean Payton in Denver, because clearly he was the problem. I mean, what else am I to make of the fact that the New Orleans Saints were woeful offensively and they fired the running game coordinator? I mean, it was clearly all Dan Rauscher's fault. Running game coordinator, tight ends coach, clearly it was all Dan Rauscher's fault. So maybe Sean Payton's going to bring that albatross around his neck to Denver with Dan Rauscher. I kid, of course, if you don't know, dripping in sarcasm. But that's, I would think, a possibility for Sean Payton. So the offseason for New Orleans, because it is so interwoven with what Sean Payton was going to do, is now just really getting started. Because now you know you're going into this offseason with the draft capital of a first-round pick. You also have a 2 next year with which to play if you decide to wheel and deal, which the Saints do. You are now in Mobile at the Senior Bowl looking at prospects that you otherwise would not have been looking at because you have a pick in the top 30. And you're also very likely going to see some members of your staff hired away by Sean Payton at Denver, so you're probably going to have to replace staff members. So a Saints offseason, which began really in Week 17 when they were eliminated from the postseason, is only now really getting into motion with this Sean Payton news. We've said it for weeks. That was the first domino that had to fall. Until the Sean Payton domino fell, officially one way or the other. If he was going back to Fox or if he was coaching again in the league, the Saints couldn't really start their offseason until they knew exactly how loaded their deck was. Well, now they know, and they can begin in earnest. So, Senior Bowl week there in Mobile. In about 15 minutes, we're headed there. We're going to visit with Kat Terrell of ESPN.com. I had already planned on having Kat on the show. She wrote a piece about how Andy Dalton is the most important free agent for the Saints this offseason. So I want to talk to her about what the Saints do at quarterback, but what's going on there in Mobile, who are they scouting, but also now the Sean Payton news having broken. We'll get to that with Kat Terrell here in about 15 minutes from right now as we start hour number 3. It's After Further Review. We're brought to you by DraftKings, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Y'all, a couple of great things going on at DraftKings right now. Of course, no football this week. So DraftKings is extending that great offer to new customers for the NBA. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. If you're a new customer, maybe you've been betting on another app. Awesome. Here's a great time to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and take advantage of this free offer. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, bet just $5 on an NBA game, and they will give you $200 in free bets. Why wouldn't you take advantage of this? Do it today. Of course, you got the Pels playing tonight. I mentioned you got the Lakers and the Knicks. You don't have to pick the right winner. Just bet $5 on an NBA game. They're going to give you $200 in free bets. Also, you can have a no-risk, same-game parlay on an NBA game every day this week. Y'all, no risk every day this week. Bet a same-game parlay in the NBA. If it doesn't hit, they'll give you your money back. It's all this week. That's new and existing customers. Got to opt in. You got to use the promo code Baton Rouge. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the promo code Baton Rouge. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus issued as free bets. Opt-in required. One free bet issued based on amount of initial losing NBA bet. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. Licensing partner Gold Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. Muso's going to have Tigers in the pros when we come back, so we're glad to have you hanging out with us here on AFR. And then right after the top of the hour, we chat with Kat Terrell from Mobile. Glad you're with us. It's AFR.
AFR.
I want you to do something. I want you to try something new. So often we get stuck in our ways, our routines, and we end up going to the same places. I want you to try Tallulah in the Renaissance Hotel. Maybe you got a client lunch, a business lunch with your significant other, whatever it may be. If you got lunch coming up or you're looking for something to do to go have a really nice, fine, upscale dinner, a casual, upscale dinner, Tallulah inside the Renaissance Hotel. You go to TallulahRestaurant.com for reservations or for the phone number. Walk-ins are welcome. Great ambiance, and I'm telling you, the menu is exquisite. Chef Jason Hebert did a masterful job. Just trust me. Next time you're looking for lunch, go to Tallulah in the Renaissance Hotel.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast who was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti retailer.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrell with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, we are wrapping up hour number 2, heading to Mobile, visit with Cat Terrell there at the Senior Bowl in about 10 minutes. Get our thoughts on Sean Payton landing with the Denver Broncos. If you're just knocking off of work, haven't heard, Sean Payton headed to Denver. Saints get a 1, this year's 1 and next year's 2 from the Broncos in exchange for Payton and the Saints' third-round pick next year. All right, Muso. Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
We start in the National Basketball Association, where Ben Simmons sat out last night's game for the Nets versus the Los Angeles Lakers. Ben dealing with knee soreness, although the Nets earlier today mentioned he's making, quote, progress. Status for Ben Simmons still unknown for Wednesday's game versus Boston. Cam Thomas did play last night for the Nets and played quite well. 23 minutes off the bench, shot 8 of 13 from the floor. Half his made buckets were triples. 21 points last night for Cam Thomas. 4 rebounds and an assist round out his night in the Nets. They beat a LeBron-less Lakers team. Naz Reid last night for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Yeah, you're going to really believe that momentarily. 16 minutes, 0 for 4 from 3. Did shoot 3 of 9 from the floor, 6 points in all, 3 boards, an assist, and a steal for Naz. The Kings got the victory over the Timberwolves.
Oh, Lil Wayne announced his tour dates.
Yes, there is not one in New Orleans. That caused a little bit of a stink earlier today on the Twitter. To the NBA G League, Darius Days last night for the Rio Grande Valley Vipers shot 47% from the floor, 40% from 3. Another 20-plus point night, 24 to be exact, and another double-double as Darius Days adds 12 rebounds, 24 and 12. Stayed out of foul trouble, really good. And earlier today, Darius Days named NBA G League Player of the Week. That's after averaging 30 points over his last 3, including dropping 40 in a game. The Vipers went 3-0 over that stretch. That's Tigers in the pros.
Wayne was born in New Orleans.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
That's why it caused the stink, Matt.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's no good. By the way, Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. 2 locations in Baton Rouge, corporate in Bocage, and in the Mall of Louisiana. It is tomorrow's Feb 1. 2 weeks. 2 weeks till Valentine's. Whew. Guys, don't screw it up, man. Get by Lee Michaels. Sure to thrill her with a gift in the red box this Valentine's Day from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. lmfj.com. lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Man, Young Money and Rolling Loud presents Lil Wayne. Welcome to the Carter Tour. I'm sorry. Welcome to the Carter Tour. Minneapolis, Fargo, North Dakota.
They're big Lil Wayne people up there. Love
Fargo?
Wheezy in Fargo. Yeah.
Stranger than most, eh? It's from the movie Fargo.
Never seen it.
Stranger than most. Omaha, Madtown, Chicago, Detroit, Toronto, Boston, New York, Philly, Silver Springs, Maryland. We can't get any love for NOLA. What are we doing here, Wayne? Come on, Wheezy. It's a problem. Hour 3 next.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Relief Windows. ReliefWindows.com. Energy-efficient replacement windows. Beautiful entry doors. Hardy plank, vinyl siding. They do it all. I want to remind you, with respect to siding over at Relief Windows, you can, in about 2 weeks' time, from the moment you walk into their headquarters on Airline in Prairieville, pick out your color, the type of siding you want. In about 2 weeks' time, the entire exterior of your home can be completely remade. Remember, that siding comes finished in your favorite color. It won't chip, crack, peel, any of that stuff. It's fire resistant, it's weather resistant. It'll beautify the exterior of your home, make your home more efficient, safer. Check it out at Relief Windows. They do windows, doors, and siding at Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Experience, quality, and service. That's been their mantra over at Relief Windows. Check them out today online at ReliefWindows.com. ReliefWindows.com.
Sky, I've got that sunshine.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Have you ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast who was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti retailer.
All right, let's say ah. Ah.
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. It's on to the Mile High City for Sean Payton. ESPN's Adam Schefter's reporting Payton will be the new coach in Denver after the Broncos and Saints agreed on compensation. Denver is sending its 2023 first-round pick and a 2024 second-round pick to New Orleans for Payton and the Saints' 2024 third-rounder. The Broncos starting quarterback, by the way, coming off a miserable 2022 season, in particular wanted Payton hired, explains Schefter.
Russell Wilson wanted Sean Payton and was pulling for him the whole time, and that the two have worked together at the Pro Bowl, know each other, have wanted to work together in the past, and here they are now getting an opportunity to do that.
Adam Schefter on Canty and Carlin. The Broncos ready to make Payton one of the highest paid coaches in the NFL. Schefter also reports 49ers defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans has agreed to terms on a 6-year deal to become the new coach of the Texans. The Texans, the first team in league history to have hired 3 straight black head coaches. As his pursuit of the NBA career scoring record continues, LeBron James will return from foot soreness for the Lakers tonight against the Knicks, reports ESPN's Dave McMenamin.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career you'll love with flexibility, great pay, and benefits, and one of the country's top workplaces? Come join their growing team. Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 2. Nope, it's not. Hour 3. Off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us, AFR. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Muso. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. Bottom of the hour, we will preview Pels at Nuggets. Sheesh. No rest for the weary. Massive story of the day, of course, Sean Payton is back at it. He is going to be the new head coach of the Denver Broncos. The Saints get a 1 and a 2 for Sean Payton and next year's 3. So that part of the offseason, that question is now answered. How do the Saints begin to proceed here in the offseason? Let's go to Mobile. Kat Terrell is there for the Senior Bowl this week. Of course, covers the Saints for ESPN.com. Good enough to spend a couple of minutes with us here. Kat, we appreciate it as always. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. I would imagine there's nothing quite like the former coach being hired for a new job and draft pick compensation all while you're there covering a week-long event in Mobile. What's the buzz like?
Well, that was actually kind of funny because I was in the car. I wasn't driving, but someone else was, and I just I looked at my watch and just like a picture of Peyton's face popped up. So I knew it was something. But you know, I think it's really interesting. It makes for a really interesting week. We haven't had a major coaching trade in over 20 years. I think it's exciting for the Saints. Now we have something to talk about leading up to the draft, or at least leading up to day one. Just really interesting stuff. We just haven't seen something like this in a long time, and it was almost starting to look like it wouldn't happen. So I think how the next few days play out are going to be interesting.
Was there a point where you thought that Sean Payton was going to go back to Fox?
Well, I just thought after he spent all that time in Arizona and then, what was it, 2 days later, they're making interview requests left and right for the Bengals coordinators. To me, I was thinking, well, if I'm Sean, that would not be a good sign. And it felt like things have been quiet on the Broncos front for a while. I think Saints fans are hoping something would happen with Arizona or Houston because they had the most draft capital. But, it's more than a two-way street. It's a three-way street. If that even makes sense. It's a triangle of people that have to agree to make this all work.
Well, they've agreed on the compensation, and obviously this now changes the whole conversation around the Saints draft. Let me get your reaction to what the Saints have acquired. This year's 1 and next year's 2.
Well, I saw people were upset about that, which shows just how fickle people can be and how quickly things can change. Those same people were probably thinking 2 days ago the Saints weren't going to get anything. So I think the fact that they got a first-round pick is great. I mean, like I said, everyone has to agree here. It's not just the Saints and the Broncos agreeing. Payton has to want to go there. The team has to want him, and the Saints have to okay it. They could have come away with nothing. So I think it's great they have a first-round pick this year, even though it is a very late one. At least now they have options. 24 hours ago, it was looking pretty dire as far as how they're going to obtain a quarterback, and it's still difficult being that far down. At least you got a starting point now.
Kat Terrell's with us. The reason I'd reached out to you to come on today was to talk about the future of the Saints quarterback position because you wrote about that at ESPN.com, and then lo and behold, this news breaks, so sometimes timing works. How does this news today change the Saints' approach this offseason as it pertains to looking at quarterbacks?
I don't necessarily know that it does. I mean, maybe a little bit. Yes, we're about to have something up on ESPN tomorrow that we worked on for a while, basically just simulating how this offseason could go with all the quarterback-needy teams. And the longer I worked on it, the harder it was to try to obtain a quarterback that fans would want or that the Saints would be happy with. I mean, Derek Carr, you have to either trade for him and give up draft picks and pick up that contract, or you got to entice him to come. Garoppolo probably won't cost as much, but, still not an easy thing. And they'll have salary cap space. They'll make it work, but it's hard to do. So now, maybe they start looking at the bridge quarterback situation versus trading for someone like Carr. And the quarterbacks in the draft. I don't know. I do know with the teams that are in the top 5, I think the top guys, it's going to be very hard to obtain. So maybe temper expectations in that respect. But like I said, at least they have a starting point.
You wrote about this, as I mentioned, at ESPN.com. Do you expect Andy Dalton will be back in New Orleans?
I think it's a strong possibility. Andy is 35, so I don't know how many years left he wants to play, but he still talks like he wants to play. And I think that at minimum, they would like to have him back as a backup. I would just be surprised if they don't try to obtain him in some way. But, it's how are they looking at Dalton? Do they want him to come back for another year as a starter? Because if that's the case, then you better find a way to get a quarterback in the draft.
Yeah.
But if you have him as a backup, I think that's a whole different story. Or say he can come in and compete with whatever quarterback they obtain in the draft. But, all of those are hypotheticals because, again, they are far down. So it's not a given that they're going to get a quarterback. So there's still a lot of questions this early in the process. And I think the first domino is whether Carr gets cut on, I think it'd be February 13th. His contract guarantees. So that's really, we're looking in 2 weeks, the first major domino of all of the quarterbacks to fall, and then see what happens after that.
A couple more for you. Kat Terrell's there in Mobile for the Senior Bowl this week. One of the most popular quarterbacks in these parts, as it pertains to Saints conversations, is Hendon Hooker, who tore his ACL, is not playing, but as I understand, is there in Mobile. Are the Saints in conversations with Hendon Hooker there in Mobile?
Well, all the prospects do talk to everyone, but I think the Saints have a leg up because they have their own quarterbacks coach there. And we're going to get to talk to the assistants that are, they have 4 assistants at the Senior Bowl, and we're going to get to talk to them this week. And we were just talking to one, Declan Doyle, who's an offensive assistant, and he was just saying it's such a big deal to be able to work directly with these guys and get more than just 15 minutes with them. And the Saints love their Senior Bowl players. They have gotten a ton of players in the Senior Bowl the last few years. And so I think that is a very interesting prospect because not only is he possibly realistic for the Saints, but now they're going to get to spend time with them. I mean, I'm not going to give away everything about the quarterback project we worked on for tomorrow, but I will say that Hooker ended up being a part of it. And when I looked at it that way, I was like, oh, okay, maybe they're not going to get a top guy, but there are still some realistic options. So he's going to be talked about a lot this offseason, I guarantee you, in regards to the Saints.
Speaking of just being there at the Senior Bowl, any standouts here after a couple days in Mobile?
Not yet, at least not from my perspective. But I think over the next few days we'll kind of see more. It's kind of funny. I've covered a lot of Senior Bowl weeks, and I've never covered the actual game. It's like everyone kind of ups and leaves before the game starts because the practices are what are so valuable. So I got there, I didn't see both practices today. I saw some of the second one. But, tomorrow will be interesting because I'll actually get to sit down and watch more.
Give us a little bit of a thumbnail of what the rest of the week is like there, Kat. What can we expect coming out of Mobile here over the next 3 days?
Well, the Senior Bowl is always such a great time for making hires, first of all. The Saints have hired and fired people this week many, many times over the years. So a lot of news comes out after the Senior Bowl. This is where the Saints were doing their head coaching interviews last year, or at least a few of them. So maybe we expect coaching news the next few days. I'm not saying that as a given, just it has happened before. The Saints need a tight ends coach. The Saints now, I want to say need a defensive coordinator, but they have one unless Richard ends up going somewhere else. So that's one thing. And then just watch for the standouts. Saints are going to be looking at running backs, and they're going to be looking at quarterbacks. I think those 2 positions are really important this week. Saints will talk to every prospect. They'll get to work with them hands-on. Like I said, quarterbacks coach Ronald Curry is there. I think that's huge for the Saints. And so I wouldn't be surprised if you see a Senior Bowl participant end up in New Orleans next year after this week.
Well, we saw with Trevor Penning last year. Right. Last thing for you, staff currently in New Orleans that could join Sean Payton in Denver. This is obvious. I mean, this the body isn't even cold. I mean, this news is 90 minutes old. But is there anything that resonates there where you think, watch that guy could be a candidate maybe that Sean Payton might want to bring to Denver?
Well, Mickey Loomis touched on this right after the season. He kind of said, I'm sure Sean will call and will probably block most of them. But the one that is the most interesting to me, honestly, is what happens with Pete Carmichael. So he's already calling the plays, so the Saints would have to give permission for him to go interview. It's different than the co-defensive coordinator situation. But Carmichael was under so much scrutiny this year, and the Saints have elected to keep him. What if Payton asks for his right-hand man and they let him go and hire somebody else? It's kind of intriguing to think about.
The Saints offseason really is just beginning in earnest now with Sean Payton news final heading to Denver. Kat Terrell is there in Mobile all week for the Senior Bowl. On Twitter at @Kat_Terrell. You'll give her a follow. Good piece coming on Wednesday about quarterback options for the New Orleans Saints. Make sure you check that out. And I guess all NFL teams is that quarterback carousel spins. Kat, we appreciate the time as always. Have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you too.
All right, thank you. All right, we're brought to you by Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. Tell you every single day. Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com. That's us. That's me. That's Ryan Terrio. That's Richard Tilley. That's all of our partners over at Hudco. And, man, our crews do amazing work. My guy Joe Morales, who does a fantastic job as a CM, heading up everything. If you're in Baton Rouge or Bossier, New Orleans, Lafayette, we got an office near you. So get to the website, HudcoRoofing.com, HudcoRoofing.com. At the top of the page, you'll see all the phone numbers, the 318, the 225, the 504, and the 337. So wherever you are, we got an office and we got crews near you ready to work. Some awful weather came through this weekend. You saw it all. Man, that lightning cracking woke us up on Sunday morning. Check it out. If you have issues with your roof or think you might, we'd love to give you a free, no-obligation roofing inspection. HUDCOroofing.com. That's HUDCOroofing.com. You can get the free inspection, fill out the form on the homepage, take you 30 seconds. And, of course, if you'd rather talk to someone, just give us a shout. All of our lines forward to other people's cell phones as well, so if you can't get someone at the office, you'll get someone on their cell phone. We'd love to do business face-to-face. HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. Do business with someone you know. That's us, HUDCO Roofing and HUDCOroofing.com. Okay, we'll knock out a quick break. When we come back, we'll get to more of your reaction to the Sean Payton news. So if you want to join us, you're welcome to do so. Email us, tweet us, jump in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat or text. 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. More Payton reaction coming up. Also, Shea Dixon was here earlier in the show, giving you a little precursor for what to expect on National Signing Day. We'll reset some of that. Glad you are with us here on a Tuesday edition of AFR.
AFR.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Miller Lite has more taste and only 1 more calorie than Michelob Ultra.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Have you ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast who was born to float. force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, glad you're rolling along with us. Again, just gigantic news here today. Sean Payton is the new head coach of the Denver Broncos. Saints get a 1 and a 2. So this year's first-round pick from Denver and next year's second-round pick for Denver. In exchange, the Saints send the rights to Sean Payton and next year's third-round pick. Not everybody super keen. Muse, give me a poll question update if you would. Look, I'm reading some of the comments here. Michael Abello on Twitter said it's pick 30. Good luck with a quarterback. There's validity there. Like, you're not getting one of the top quarterbacks in the draft. And by the way, it is pick 30, but it's worth noting Miami, of course, forfeited their pick. So it's actually it'll be the 29th selection, although it's the 30th slot, but Miami won't pick, so it'll be 29 actually. Another tweet said Anthony Richardson at that pick would be really intriguing. I can't tell you that I know definitively who's going to go where, right? I mean, last year, remember, Malik Willis was in everybody's mock draft as a first-round pick. He dropped all the way into round 3. He was a late day 2 pick. So I don't know. I mean, I look at Anthony Richardson and I see a guy that is in everybody's mock draft as, a top 10-ish pick. So does he drop all the way to 29? Maybe. A lot's going to happen between now and the draft. You have stories that happen. You have physicals that happen. You have pro days. You'll have the Senior Bowl. I mean, I don't want to say Josh Allen was an unknown, but relatively speaking, no one was thinking of Josh Allen, this kid out of Wyoming, as this elite level prospect, like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL type prospect, goes to the Senior Bowl, has a massive day, and then he ends up a first rounder. Zach Wilson, I mean, he threw one throw on the move across his body at his pro day, and he became the number 2 pick in the draft. So I don't know. A lot can happen, and a lot will happen between now and the draft. And with all of the attention on quarterbacks, clearly there's going to be movement there. But it seems likely at this point that Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson are all going to be off the board by the time the Saints pick. A guy that could be there very likely is Hendon Hooker, and that's what I'm getting the most of when I'm looking at a lot of texts. It's and tweets. Like here's one from John. Is there any way the Saints wouldn't draft Hendon Hooker 29 if available? I think they'd have to go get him. Like, John, I would love to see that. I've talked about Hendon Hooker for 2 years on the show. I think his progress at Tennessee over the last 2 years when he came in from Virginia Tech was awesome. When I look at him, a big 6'5" dude who can flick it and throw it a mile. His accuracy on the deep ball was outstanding this year with Tennessee, and he had elite level receiving talent. I don't know that Hendon Hooker steps onto an NFL field day one and is a star. I don't even know if he can play next year because of the torn ACL. So maybe it's a situation where you draft the guy at 29 or maybe at 40. You stash him for a year behind a veteran like Andy Dalton or somebody else. And then in 2024, you try to move forward with Hendon Hooker as your starter. I don't know. I'll put it to you this way. If the New Orleans Saints on draft day send the card to the podium with the 29th pick in the draft and they select Hendon Hooker, I'm pumped. Wherever we are, I'm doing backflips. Not literally, because I'd probably kill myself. But I'd be doing backflips if the Saints took Hendon Hooker. In their history, the New Orleans Saints have used a first-round pick on a quarterback one time. Once ever. Once. Archie Manning. That's it. Saints have had some awful teams and some awful quarterbacks. And they have never, no matter who the GM has been, pulled the trigger on a first-round quarterback since Archie Manning. And they've done some bold stuff, man. Mike Ditka traded an entire draft, plus picks the next year, for Ricky Williams. Mickey Loomis, his whole MO is trading up. Traded up for Davenport. Traded up last year for Olave and Pennick. Like, it's what they do. They move up. They're aggressive, but they've never taken a quarterback. So I mean, I would love to think the day could come where the Saints could use a third-round pick and get Russell Wilson, or a fourth-round pick and get Dak Prescott, or a seventh-round pick and get Brock Purdy, or a sixth-round pick and get Tom Brady. And those happen. I just let fourth-round pick Kirk Cousins. Like, you can find starting quarterbacks in the NFL in the middle and late rounds. Tony Romo was undrafted. Like, you can find starting quarterbacks outside of round one. And first-round quarterbacks are only about a 50% hit rate, y'all. I mean, for every Jamarcus Russell and Ryan Leaf, there's a Peyton Manning and an Andrew Luck, right? For every Josh Allen, there's a Mitchell Trubisky. For every Patrick Mahomes, there's a Christian Ponder. And that's the reality of it. It's a coin flip. It's about a 50-50 proposition with quarterbacks in the first round. But at some point, you got to be bold. Because it took you 40 years to find Drew Brees in a fluke scenario. And the stars aligned and it worked out great. You want to wait another 40 years? Or you want to be aggressive and go find the guy that's going to be your franchise? Be aggressive. Go find the guy that's going to be your franchise. I don't know if it's Hendon Hooker. I don't know if it's someone else in this draft that they may scout and love. But if you keep playing this game where you're going to try to find that bridge guy, you're going to try to find that veteran that's bounced around the NFL. I mean, you think Teddy Bridgewater's coming in here and winning you a Super Bowl? You think Geno Smith or Derek Carr is coming in here and changing the course of this franchise? Come on, man. You got to be bold and find that guy. You got to go find your Jalen Hurts. Go find your Joe Burrow. I get it, you don't have the first pick of the draft. But find that guy that you believe in, be committed to him, and see if he can be a guy for you. Maybe that's Hendon Hooker. Maybe it's somebody else. But now you have 2 picks in the top 40 of this draft. And you have 2 second-round picks next year as well. And when you look at the same, and I am not, by the way, I am not actively advocating for New Orleans to trade up in this draft. What I am saying is go be bold. If there's a player you love and you think he could be the franchise, the cornerstone of your franchise, go get him. But now you have, with the 29th pick and the 40th pick, you have 2 top 40 picks. And you got the 71st pick as well. So 3 picks in the top 71 overall. You have a first rounder and 2 twos next year. If there's someone you want who you feel can change your franchise, go get them. I'm talking about quarterbacks. But there's a lot of other needs this team has as well, y'all. They were 22nd in the NFL in run defense. You need an interior presence. If Apu is sitting there at 29, I don't know if he will be. And I'm mentioning that name because he's familiar. We all know him. But you're going to give me a big 330-pound run-stuffing monster to stick in the middle of a defense and just eat up offensive linemen? Yes, please. I'm good with that. You go defensive tackle at 29 and quarterback at 40? Okay. I could be really, really excited about that if it played out that way. When the reality is the Saints should be picking 10th overall. And I get why they're not. Like, they traded the pick. But my point is they were bad enough to be picking in the top 10 of the draft. When you're bad enough to be picking in the top 10 of the draft, you got a lot of holes on your roster. The Saints need help at running back. They're probably cutting Andrus Peat. They're going to need an interior offensive lineman. You've got to get help on the interior of your defensive line. Your sack numbers were garbage this year. Peyton Turner's giving you nothing. Marcus Davenport gave you a half a sack. You've got an aging Cam Jordan and Carl Granderson. You need edge players. They need a lot, y'all. They need a lot. So really, there aren't many wrong answers. But the one given is you ain't winning at a high level in this league without elite quarterback play. And elite quarterback play doesn't mean a first rounder. It just means elite quarterback play. The Saints don't have it now. They haven't had it in 5 years. And unless if they're aggressive this offseason in the draft and bold, they're not going to have it for years to come. All right, it's After Further Review, brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com, Michelli.com. You know where to find them, Michelli.com, with 29 different offices across 11 different states. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. ISO 17025 accreditation available. They're our nation's largest distributor of scales. And last year when they celebrated their 75th anniversary, our friends at Michelli spent so much of that year expanding their precision measurement device calibration labs. They added more than 6,000 square feet to their calibration lab in Harahan, their New Orleans office. Mobile, Baton Rouge, all over. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. They can do on-site calibration with their mobile calibration lab. If you have equipment that can't leave your facility, they'll come to you. They can come pick up your devices, bring it back to their labs, calibrate it, return it to you. It's all about making you more efficient, more efficient. You understand the importance of measurement? Let's say you're a farmer. You think having your scales properly calibrated to measure your crop is important when you're talking about your bottom line? Absolutely. Whatever industry it is. Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com. Michelli.com. All right, it's after further review. We did get the TV ratings in for the Bengals Chiefs. They averaged 53 million viewers. Holy moly. Bengals Chiefs AFC Championship game, 53.1 million viewers on average. That's an 11% increase over the game last year that went to overtime. Incredible. Most watched conference championship game in 4 years. You're looking Joe Burrow, Kansas City Chiefs, Cincinnati Bengals, Patrick Mahomes, all those ingredients mixed together. Don't think that has staying power. And by the way, when you see that, you also understand why media rights deals are so big. 53 million people watched that game. For perspective, I went and looked up TV ratings from Friday. Sometimes it takes a while to get ratings in. For Friday night, SmackDown on Fox had 2.4 million viewers. Shark Tank on ABC had 4.4 million viewers. And Figure Skating on NBC had 1.8 million viewers. Bengals Chiefs had 53 million. This is nothing like it. We're a football-obsessed nation, and it is the most valuable ad product on TV. It's the NFL. It's incredible. 53 million people watch that game on Sunday. Even the blowout. I saw the number. It was 40. Hang on. I know this is great, right? It was 47.5 million viewers for Eagles-Niners. How about that? A game that ended 31-7 had 47 million viewers. The NFL is just a behemoth. As much as we complain about put flags on them and the officiating stinks and it's rigged and I hate Goodell and hate that team and start times and too long, whatever, we watch. My goodness, do we watch. Okay, quick break. We'll come back. I'll get some more of your reaction. We appreciate you for being here. Muse will check the poll for us, and we'll get you Pels Nuggets preview. Can the Pels snap that streak tonight? Big ask on the road in Denver. We'll preview it next on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001 for River City's 1 Hour Air. 1hourbr.com. That's where you can find them online. ONE1hourbr.com. I love sharing great testimonials with you, and they've got more than double the amount of 5-star Google reviews of the next closest competitor. This one from Alexis Blanchard said, Todd from River City's 1 Hour Air in Baton Rouge was great. Very patient and knowledgeable. I'm so thankful he was able to check out what was wrong and fix it in the same setting. My air and heat is back up and running. I feel so relieved that it didn't take much to figure out what was wrong and fix it. It took a lot of climbing up and down the attic outside, but he didn't complain, didn't look bothered at all. He came in, did his job, made sure I knew what was going on every step of the way, and double-checked everything once it was completed. That's how you do a job and serve your customers. Very appreciated, Todd. That's from Alexis Blanchard. Another 5-star Google review for River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. the nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Hey, Muse, update the poll question if you would.
All right, today's Citizens Bank poll question of the day. Did the Saints get enough compensation for Sean Payton? So far, results in 50% say no. So it flipped from the last time.
Well, it's 50-50.
Yeah, but 50.5 say no, so you got 49.5. Just so you can actually separate it. But yeah, 50-50.
Okay, Muse, it's 50-50. It's the same thing.
You round, depending on what decimal point.
Muse, it's the same thing. It's 50-50. Like, if this is an election, there's a runoff. Okay, it's 50-50.
Well, but you have to have a way to.
The point is, the point of the exercise is to determine how people feel about this. It is very clear that people are very split on whether or not the Saints got enough. That's the whole point of the exercise. And I understand it. I got a text into the show from Jacob who said, my only complaint is we're sending a 3. I don't see why we have to send a pick if they want him badly enough. I understand that point, and that is represented, by the way, of the 50%, the half of you who are saying didn't get enough. And I get it. But the Saints, that's the whole reason why they had to get a deal done, because every day you don't, or next year you don't, you lose leverage. Because Carolina hired a coach. Texans hired DeMeco Ryans. The Cardinals were not hiring Sean Payton. So in one respect, you're the Saints saying, hey, you want him bad enough, you got to give us something. But Denver can sit there and say, well, you won't have any other suitors. Let him sit there for another year and see what you get for him next year. We'll go hire somebody else. So you try to negotiate from a position of strength, but both teams had holes in their argument. Both teams lacked leverage. So you try to find a deal that was agreeable for both, that they can go back and say, see what we did. So I get it. I do get it. A couple other text messages here. By the way, Bronson pointed this out, and thank you. It's a good catch. I mentioned, if you're the Saints and you're looking forward to how you can do a deal, you have a 1 this year, 2 2s this year, and then obviously, the Eagles have the Saints' second-round pick for this year. So So you don't have that pick that you'd send to Philadelphia. The Saints have forgive me, that's next year's too. The Saints have a second-round pick this year, the 40th pick overall. And there's one more. It was from this is from Michael Oob, who said, Matt, they got to suck it up and deal with a rebuild. The Saints BS about kicking the can in perpetuity needs to end. This is the first off season where I agree. And I want to be very clear, because I never want to come with the benefit of hindsight and give an opinion that is contradictory to what I did at the time. So I'm not criticizing the Saints' decision for years to be in perpetual win-now mode. I was very much in favor of it. You had an aging Drew Brees. You were trying to get another Super Bowl. And I was totally cool with what they did. The analogy I've given you is that they were buying on credit. And eventually those bills come due. They just never got over the hump. They didn't win the Super Bowl. They came close, won a lot of games, made the playoffs, never broke through. And so that stings. But even after Sean Payton left, this past offseason, there was reason to believe that, look, there were some people, didn't Bart Scott pick the Saints to go to the Super Bowl? I mean, there were people picking this Saints. There were a lot of reasons it made sense. You looked at the structure in place. You say, look, Jameis, they were 5-2 last year before Jameis got hurt. Even without Jameis, with Simeon and Taysom Hill and Ian Book, they still were 9-8 and just missed the playoffs. And then you added Tyron and Jarvis Landry. You added a dynamic receiver in Chris Olave. You fortified your offensive line with Trevor Penning. You had Marcus May. Like, there was a lot of reason that we were optimistic about this team. Remember Kamara? We thought he was going to miss half the season because of the Vegas thing. That got pushed to next year. So there was a lot of reason to be optimistic. The division stunk. So I was willing to say, yeah, man, let's make another run at it. And look at what happened. You went 7-10. You weren't any good. Jameis is done in New Orleans, obviously. Andy Dalton's not your future. Your run defense was completely exposed this year. You have holes. You are not close to contending. You're not close. So I agree. If you spend, and I was asked this question this morning, and it was basically like, hey, I saw something where the Saints can get $30 million, in cap space if they redo. Yes, they can, of course, and they will. I mean, you got to shave $52 million or $57 million, whatever it is, you lose count, just to be within cap compliance. And they'll find room to spend money because you're going to have to sign your draft picks and some of your current free agents and all that. So they're going to find a way to do it. But the problem is, every time you do that, you prolong this necessity of redoing deals. And the problem with doing that is it never ends and you get stuck with bad contracts. If all the players you restructure play out their contracts and are great, awesome. The problem is when you give Michael Thomas $100 million and then you have to restructure his contract and then he doesn't play for 3 years, now you have this gigantic negative on your balance sheet. You're paying this. You got so much of your cap committed to this dude that hadn't played for 3 years. That's your problem when you keep doing this process. And again, I was good with doing it when you did, but not anymore because you're not close. You got to rebuild your roster through the draft. That's quarterback. That's everything. Oh, boy. Yeah, look, there's cap casualties coming. We mentioned, Andres Pete is a pretty obvious one. Jameis Winston isn't going to be back. Will Lutz is a cap casualty candidate. There's some of them out there that are pretty obvious. If someone's going to give Marcus Davenport $20 million a year, Saints ain't spending that. So you're probably going to see another year of starting caliber players leaving the organization because the Saints can't afford to pay them. Made bad decisions, man. You let Trey Hendrickson walk because you banked on Marcus Davenport. You missed. Von Bell looked good, didn't he? Look, Malcolm Jenkins was good when you brought him back. You just brought back an aging safety at the end of his career. You guessed wrong. All right. It's after further review. Glad you're with us. Been a really good show. A show where we had to pivot. Appreciate Shea Dixon for being here in hour number one. If you missed it, Shea previewed National Signing Day. That's on demand for you. Kim Mulkey was here in hour one. A whiteout last night at the Maravich Center. The Lady Tigers remain undefeated. Perfect 21-0, 9-0 in conference play after they dispatched Tennessee. And then, of course, the Sean Payton news broke in hour number one, so that's really chewed up the bulk of our show. We appreciate Terrell for joining us earlier this hour from Mobile. If you miss anything, AFR On Demand presented by Breck Golf. Of course, book your tee time at golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org. Pels tonight against the Nuggets. They're in Denver. This long losing streak, it's hard to believe that, a month ago the Pels were number one in the Western Conference, and now they're only a game above 500. But they made the decision to rest C.J. McCollum and B.I. in Milwaukee the other night. So you have a couple of very rested stars heading to Denver tonight. 9 o'clock Central is the tip. It's a national broadcast on TNT. Of course, you can watch the local broadcast with Joel and AD and Jen. But Nuggets are a 6.5-point favorite in this ballgame. Pels won the first one earlier this year, blew out Denver in New Orleans. And then the second game was a nail-biter that they lost 99-98 just about a week ago. Actually, this was just it was a week ago. It was the 24th, a week ago. So now they head to Denver and see if they can snag one to end this skid against the Nuggets. All right, it's after further review. We'll knock out our final break of the show. When we come back, a little Otter Locks with Jimmy. Stick around.
AFR.
Man, New Orleans Flooring has done it again. 2 locations. New Orleans, Metairie to be exact, and Airline Highway in Prairieville. Some people say, New Orleans Flooring is in Baton Rouge, in Prairieville. Yes, but they got a New Orleans location, but they have the Prairieville location as well. So if you're going south on Airline, past the Walmart in Prairieville, on the right, you can't miss it, the blue sign, it's right there. They have more than 1 million square foot of product in stock. And because they cut out of the middleman, they can give you great deals. And so you get a great quality product at an extremely discounted price. And because they're bringing in new inventory, last year's colors have to go. So they have product as low as $1.79 per square foot. It's absurd. If you're a homeowner looking to redo your floors, this is the time. If you're a contractor, if you remodel, flip, go to New Orleans Flooring. NOLAflooring.com, NOLAflooring.com. Metairie and Prairieville, NOLAflooring.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
You ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast who was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infiniti QX80.
Experience the Infiniti QX80 at your local Infiniti retailer.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana Loyal. Always.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Today, people are walking to a bar. The first to order.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Down the stretch, we come final segment here on a Tuesday edition of AFR. One thing left to do. Let's find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only, the incomparable and often incomprehensible, the Ott father himself, Jimmy Ott. Otter, how are you?
Doing good, Matt. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. A 1-0-2 night last night in a great opportunity, Otter.
Yeah.
To remind people of the importance of buying the half a point in college basketball games.
Single-digit spreads. The lower, the more important. But, and Matt, the last, so we don't do this on Friday because you banned me for happy hour. But anyway.
No, you are always welcome on Fridays. But I'm just assuming you're not wanting to be here on Fridays at 5:50 p.m.
It's all right. So I kicked to the curb on Friday. So the last time I bet game
it's so stupid.
was Thursday. Matt, the last 2 days, there's 4 of these games. Purdue, Michigan, Arizona, Washington State. I forget the other one Thursday night, and then last night, with Iowa State. How about Iowa State blowing a 23-point lead?
Crazy.
A 23-point lead with 12 minutes to go.
I know.
With 12 minutes to go.
Texas Tech got a little mojo, man.
Yeah, Iowa State, and I kind of in-gamed a little bit to try and hedge a plus 525 on the money line when they were just running clock and they weren't looking to score. So it was just they were in full-blown panic mode last night in Lubbock. So anyway, tonight here we go. All right, TCU is they're 1.5. We're going to buy that to -1.
Okay.
You already got State -9, right?
I gave out for those that missed it. Jimmy sent Mississippi State earlier. That was a 5:30 tip. We did give it out several times in the first couple hours of the show.
Okay, tied or Arkansas -3.5, 5-3.
Okay.
Kansas State plus 8.5 combined to 9.
Okay.
And I know it's a revenge spot, rare spot for Kansas, getting their in-state rival at home. That's a lot of points. Kansas State's good. They're good. I think they can play with them. UNLV plus 3. They owe me money a couple of weeks ago. It was one of the worst beats ever. 2 seconds to go. Full length, half-court pass, a crazy three-pointer off the glass, and then they lose in overtime. UNLV plus 3, -105 at DraftKings. Now, Matt,
real quick, Otter, I'm sorry, real quick. I just looked at TCU. That's up to 2 right now at DraftKings. TCU -2.
Yeah, there's a lot of 1.5s out there.
Okay.
And there's another one just like that, man, these lines are so tight right now.
Yeah.
Wouldn't do it. Miami's 3.5, but at DraftKings they're at 4.
Okay.
And so, I bought it to -3. So, it's, every one of these outs has their different strengths and weaknesses. There's no doubt. But if you're going to do it regularly, it does help. It's going to pay off if you have multiple outs. So, for these type of purposes. I mean, we're sitting here seeing them go right down to the number every night.
Yeah.
So
you're right on it. I mean, that's been an education for me this year. Just following this as closely, learning the importance of buying that half a point with these close spreads, and night in, night out, it matters. I mean, it's not in every game, Otter, but there's enough of it to where you look at what your totals are going to be at the end of the season. It matters.
And to remind people, that's when it's on a half to buy it to a whole, because the difference in pushing a game and losing is more than pushing and winning. So
Right.
because of the juice.
Right.
So just trying to get all the math working in our favor. So Mississippi State early, TCU, Miami, Arkansas, Kansas State, and UNLV. You got to get that TCU and Miami to -1 and -3.
Okay. All right, Otter. We appreciate it. Where are you tonight?
Burnside, Dallas. Shane is shucking Shane, baby.
Shucking Shane. I'm sure he's thrilled. All right, Otter. Have a great show. Thanks so much.
Right. See you.
All right, we'll see you. Game Time with Jimmy Ott follows us. Always love telling you about Mold Zero USA and MoldZeroUSA.com. Call Jim Woodworth and the gang. If you got mold issues, they can help you. Muso, Paulie, we appreciate you. Have a great night. See you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Have you ever heard the tale of the misunderstood bull? A menacing beast that was born to float. A force of nature. The embodiment of grace. Quite grand, yet quiet and nimble. The Infinity QX80.
Experience the Infinity QX80 at your local Infinity retailer.